Groups like the American Immigration Council estimate it would cost billions of dollars for Trump to implement his deportation plan. It could also have a dramatic impact on the economy if industries such as construction, hospitality, and agriculture lose masses of workers. There is also a resource challenge. U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement already must pick and choose where to focus its limited resources. Carrying out mass deportation would require a massive increase in manpower to arrest and deport millions of people a year.
Well, that's why we bring in the army.
And just so we're on the same page here, it sucks to be talking about this stuff in a deadpan, matter-of-fact way. Like reading that last paragraph from NPR about the practicalities of how this may happen is shocking to me. It hurts my soul to read it as if it's something that's fact, because it is. It hurts to report on this. These are people's lives, people's livelihoods at risk here. It still doesn't feel real, and we really hope that we were better than this, or that we'd maybe learned something from history, but apparently we got to learn it again.
Yeah, and not even that. Not even ancient history. I feel it's been multiple times where like southern states have like cracked down on illegal immigration, and they're like, wait, where's all the food that used to grow here? Wasn't there farm workers on this farm? Fuck. Wait, hold on. What do you mean food's more expensive now?
And obviously not casting like all immigrants as just day laborers or
no, but they form a very important backbone to like a part of the American society that we really take for granted, and you're gonna feel it.
Yeah, but we need to believe Donald Trump when he says this stuff and start working to protect our friends and neighbors now, because Trump will be president, and all of the things that he was touting on the campaign trail, just believe him that he's gonna do it. Don't think that it was just lies and jokes. Because in reality, that's what a lot of people voted for.
Anyways, these are just a few of the plans included in Agenda 47. Trump and his advisors don't seem like they'll be wasting any time getting many of these ideas off the ground immediately after he is sworn in. And we've already lived through this once. I mean, he kicked the door in last time.
Executive orders,
got
baby.
Right to fucking work.
Yeah.
They carve through any red tape. They enact these policies by whatever means possible.
They worry about the legalities afterwards.
And with control of the Senate and potentially the House, it could be a lot easier to get this stuff going. So, yes, we know this episode's a bummer, but we're not going to stop explaining this stuff to you just because it's bad news. Because there's going to be a lot of bad news to talk about. You have to be aware of this stuff, because otherwise it goes by completely uncontested, and tons of people are completely oblivious to the world around them. By the time they realize something awful is happening, it's usually too late.
Yeah, so we're just trying to give you a little head start on what the very near future might look like, and what the first few weeks and months, that's what they're going to try and do. So take the information and share it, and look out for your friends and neighbors. And just for the slightest bit of levity to this conversation, while still preparing you for the next Trump presidency, I think we need to address the gamers. Gamers, if nothing else scared you, I need you to listen right now. Now, back in 2019, when he was president the first time, Trump indicated, said on camera and everything, we'll play the clip, he would potentially ban violent video games because they, quote, corrupt America's youth.
We must stop the glorification of violence in our society. This includes the gruesome and grisly video games that are now commonplace. It is too easy today for troubled youth to surround themselves with a culture that celebrates violence. We must stop or substantially reduce this, and it has to begin immediately.
And he's going to make it mandatory, compulsory deodorant and showers. Is that what you want?
If all that other stuff...
He's going to make Asmongold clean his room.
He already did. He already did. But if all that other stuff didn't have you worried, we would hate to be the ones to let you know that Grand Theft Auto 6 is currently scheduled to release during the next Trump presidency.
Very violent. The violence is right there in the name.
Now, it's supposed to be...
Crime Simulator 6. I don't think so. Bye-bye.
It's supposed to be coming out. Or will it? Who knows at this point? Because if there's one game in particular that would be targeted by an extremely conservative government, it's definitely going to be Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah, in addition to being just extremely violent, it's also a series that is a really harsh parody of just American culture.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, they're going to...
And it's also been targeted in the past multiple times.
Yeah,
so,
well, this time it's on the president's desk.
Gamers, stay alert. one thing that we can say is safe. Call of Duty definitely going to be safe.
Because the only people that die are bad guys, terrorists.
And Call of Duty prepares the next generation for their inevitable service to the country.
It's also great for the gun industry because, like, before you even get your hands on a gun, you know about all the different, all of the red dots and the holographic and the different stocks. And you go to your first trip to the gun shop, you walk in like
I know
like
everything.
You own the place.
Yeah,
it's great for business.
But hey, that's what the next generation's being bred for. Compulsory service.
That's right.
So good luck, gamers. He's probably going to be coming for you too.
Yeah, we need you and your body to fight China.
That's right.
Anyway, it's time to take a quick break. Thank today's sponsors. Wait. Now it's time to take a quick break to thank today's sponsors for supporting the show and keeping us going in these bleak, desperate times. Starting off with an ad that's fun to read and helps you to stay as clean as a whistle. This episode is sponsored by Manscaped. Fellas, the holiday season's here, and trust me, you don't want to be the guy showing up with the tangled tinsel on your ornaments. Luckily, our friends at Manscaped have got you covered from head to right down the chimney with the Beard and Balls bundle. Featuring the Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra and the Beard Hedger, this bundle will make sure you're a gift worth unwrapping. Get ready for those mistletoe moments and get 20% off plus free shipping with the code NEWSDUMP at manscaped.com.
The Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra is your ball's new best friend. It cuts through the North Pole of bushes with ease, and it's gentle on your most delicate Christmas ornaments. It's got 2 skin-safe blade heads for versatility, whether you're after a tidy trim or a smooth, festive finish. It's got dual LED spotlights, so you'll see everything as clear as possible, even in the tricky spots, those dark corners. Nope, there.
2 LEDs.
You're gonna find hairs you never knew existed. This naughty boy is also waterproof, so you can trim in the shower and avoid a blizzard of hair all over the bathroom floor. And its travel lock feature is ideal for holiday getaways, ensuring your trimmer stays off in your luggage and ready for action when you are. No, sir, that's not a masturbation device. That's my ball trimmer. And no, it shouldn't be on because I turned the lock on. It's also perfect for a quick trim before any holiday party. No one wants to find hair in their eggnog, after all.
No, they don't. Then there's the Beard Hedger. Keep your beard in check or Santa might think you're after his job. Uh-oh. The Beard Hedger's titanium-coated T-blade will tackle your winter beard, whether you want to go full-on Santa or keep it neat for New Year's. It has a built-in zoom wheel with 20 different lengths, which means no more bags of assorted guards. It's waterproof, too. Perfect for trimming after a snowball fight. Or just freshening up in the shower.
Yeah, you know those snowball fights you have with your friends in private?
It's got 60 minutes of runtime with an LED charge indicator because nothing's worse than a half-finished beard when your sleigh is ready to go. Join the 11 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped to stay sharp this holiday season. Get the Beard and Balls bundle today and slay your grooming routine. Get 20% off plus free shipping with the code NEWSDUMP at manscaped.com. That's 20% off plus free shipping with the code NEWSDUMP at manscaped.com. Because Santa isn't the only one who needs his sack well-groomed this year.
You know the pole's going to look a lot bigger when it doesn't have a lot of snow packed in around
That's right.
Yeah. Who's hungry? This episode is also sponsored by HelloFresh.
Num, num, num.
With HelloFresh, you get farm-fresh, pre-portioned ingredients and seasonal recipes delivered right to your doorstep. Skip trips to the grocery store and count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. That's why it's America's #1 meal kit. The holiday season is just around the corner, and we're all looking for ways to spend and stress less. HelloFresh makes mealtime nearly hassle-free with delicious, home-delivered, chef-crafted recipes that come together quick and are less expensive than takeout. Whether you're craving hearty comfort food, trying to please picky eaters, or looking for a calorie-smart meal plan, HelloFresh has all those options and more available on a rotating menu of 50 recipes to choose from every week.
Easily customized recipes, so each meal is just the way you like it. There's always options available to trade or upgrade proteins or swap out side dishes. Plus, check out HelloFresh Market for over 100 add-on items like desserts, quick breakfasts, snacks, and a lot more. This month, they even have Thanksgiving items to help wow a crowd with minimal effort on your part. Not that anyone has to know. 2 of our favorites on this week's menu include the creamy Tuscan spaghetti and meatballs with scallions and lemon. There's also the sweet chili pork bowls with bell pepper and candied peanuts. These are so easy to make and so delicious that you'll wonder why you didn't start cooking for yourself sooner. Good news, though, you can start today and get 10 free meals at HelloFresh.com/free newsdump. applied across 7 boxes, new subscribers only, varies by plan. That is 10 free HelloFresh meals. Just go to hellofresh.com/free news dump.
All right, back to the news now, and apologies that we don't have much more to talk about.
Not a lot else
week,
going on.
but we are understandably trying to navigate our way through some pretty ominous realities. It's not so much about coping or whatever, it's more trying to find something fun or interesting to talk about that isn't related to our potentially very dark future.
Yeah.
It's been a week, folks, so fuck it. Here's a story that won't affect the lives of anyone who isn't a professional breakdancer. It's just the ending of a story that was as big as 2024 itself.
Is it who I think it is?
Raygun, woo! Raygun, the Olympic, there she is. Raygun, the Olympic athlete who competed in breakdancing with a very unique routine, scoring her 0 points and simultaneously making her a hero and anti-hero. That Raygun has announced that she will be retiring from the sport.
She's done all that she possibly could.
I've conquered every mountain.
She's created a legacy.
Yeah.
There's nothing left for her to do.
Mm-hmm.
She went on the biggest stage there is, the Olympics, and she made a moment to remember.
Raygun wept where there were no more competitions to conquer.
There were no more sick dance moves to do.
Here's NPR with more.
Raygun, whose real name is Rachel Gunn, said on Australian radio earlier this week that she's not one to endure the criticism that would come with future performances possibly being recorded and posted online. It's just not going to mean the same thing, she said. It's not going to be the same experience because of everything that's at stake. Breaking debuted as an Olympic sport over the summer. During the competition in Paris, Gunn failed to score any points, losing 18-0 in each of her 3 round-robin battles.
What is this? Get this off the stage.
Reactions to Gunn's performance range from declarations of her moves being eccentric to questions about her place in the sport as a white woman in academia, given the dance style's roots in the early New York hip-hop scene.
Her routine was made into memes and spoofed on late-night television. It's surreal, and it's still impossible to process, she said. That seems a really difficult thing for me to do now, to approach a battle, she said. I mean, I still dance, and I still break, but that's like in my living room with my partner. Gunn said she has relied on memes and positive messages from fans to balance out the negativity. She said that she is working on other projects that, quote, encourage people to dance and have fun and be creative and be themselves, which is honestly great.
Yeah,
I feel like
fine.
she's going to be a great role model for being yourself.
If she had competed in a
interpretive dance
positivity competition, I think she would have gotten 10s from all the judges. But unfortunately, she competed in a breakdancing competition, and I'm sorry, ma'am. What are you doing?
Yeah, but again, great role model for being yourself.
You too can one day go in front of the world and embarrass yourself.
Look, here I'll say that it was probably a net positive that she did compete in the Olympics.
Yeah, it was interesting.
It turned it into something bigger than what it would have ever been. It really put Australia on the map.
Yeah.
And
no one even knew where it was.
And it inspired a generation of kids to look and say, I could do that.
Yeah, I could do that better than her.
I could be an Olympic athlete.
That's an Olympian? I should train to be in the Olympics.
Look, probably not great as a competitive breakdancer.
Probably.
But probably going to do wonderful things as a mentor and a role model. Also, she inspired a lot more joy than hatred when it was all said and done. I mean, there were no shortage of Raygun Halloween costumes this year.
Yeah, it's a good one.
So she definitely made her mark culturally, even if it was just temporarily. Look, it was a fun story from this year. Out of all the negativity, I mean, there was a lot of negativity attached to it, but specifically, even out of the Olympics, it wasn't even in the top 5 of negative news stories.
Yeah, it's just such a weird story because, yeah, a lot of Olympians, they try to do something and they fail. But by all indications, Raygun did exactly what she set out to do.
Yeah.
And they just weren't into it. And by they, I mean the entire world.
And specifically the judges.
Yeah. But moving over to unsolved mysteries being solved, we're still not exactly sure what was washing up on the shores over in Newfoundland, Canada recently, with some arguing that it might have been baked goods that fell off a cargo ship. On the other side of the world, however, in home of Raygun, Australia, they've been dealing with a similar problem, and they finally figured out what they're dealing with. Something disgusting, putrid, and foul. Worse than the nastiest drop bear. Stickier than the insides of a kangaroo's pouch. it's
Falling behind you, Princess.
or fatbergs, depending on who you talk to.
And depending on the ingredient.
Oh, I remember
we'll
when
get to.
London had one of these.
There's a lot of cities dealing with a lot
Hardpoint
of
lockdown.
fat birds, which is just
This is nasty as it sounds.
yeah.
So yes, round blobs filled with human
We're winning.
excrement,
Keep it.
fat, drugs, and other
Stars
nasty
captured the
ingredients
hard point.
washing onto the shores of Sydney's beaches. Probably an ominous sign, but also
point
just
secure.
totally disgusting. Imagine
point
swimming
secure.
nearby and accidentally wading into a
Hostiles have the
swarm of
hard
these
point.
floating shit-filled orbs.
Oh, look, a jellyfish. Pop.
Hardpoint lockdown.
Yeah, I mean, Australia has that tiny, tiny jellyfish that can kill you.
Actually, so this would be better than
Yeah.
that, but
Yeah, oh, thank God. It's just a
It's-
fat bird.
Hostiles
It's
have
just
captured
human
the hard
shit.
point.
Yeah. Here's CNN with more on the grossest story of the week so far.
the mystery of the black balls that washed up on some of Sydney's most iconic beaches last month has now been solved.
Hardpoint is secure.
Australian beachgoers were turned away from 7 beaches last month after lifeguards spotted thousands of black spheres, prompting closures and cleanup efforts. A team of scientists at the University of New South Wales
have the
has
hard
revealed
point.
the black balls, initially thought to be made of tar, were actually mini fatbergs made up of human feces, methamphetamine, human hair, fatty acids, and food waste, among hundreds of other vile and befuddling substances. Quote, they smell absolutely disgusting.
Oi.
They smell worse than anything you've ever smelled. Lead investigator, Associate Professor John Beams told CNN affiliate 9 News.
The New South Wales Environmental Protection Authority first warned Sydney residents to avoid swimming or touching the balls
Hardpoint is active.
on October 17th after they were spotted at 7 beaches, including the city's famed
Hostiles have the
Bondi
hardpoint.
Beach. The balls were consistent with fat burns and yield masses of fats, oils, and
Hardpoint
greasy
lockdown.
molecules that can accumulate in sewage, the scientists wrote, noting their presence highlights the issue of pollution on the city's coastline. I wouldn't want to be
Hostiles
swimming
have
with them,
captured the hard
Donald
point.
told 9 News. These Sydney fatbergs were no ordinary fatbergs, however. The blobs contained everything from fecal matter to medication and recreational drugs, the scientists wrote. Where these gross balls came from still remains a mystery.
I venture to say they probably came from the residents of Sydney.
Yeah, this is you.
there's a pipe leaking somewhere, and
In the mirror, Sydney.
ew, disgusting.
Hostiles
Oi,
have the hard
oi,
point.
that was more South African. Anyway,
Hardpoint
good news is we have plenty of fatbergs, fartbergs, barfbergs, and
Hardpoint
cancerbergs waiting for us in the immediate future once Trump dismantles the pesky EPA.
Yeah, the ones here in the United
Get
States.
them out of here!
Hardpoint active.
Yeah.
A lot more
Oh,
people.
the things you'll find while walking on our beaches.
Yeah. But speaking of Australia and jobs that a lot of us would be more than happy to do during this very specific moment in time, a man from Scotland moved to Australia and got to fill out a role in a dream job. Yeah. Lighthouse keeper.
Oh, hell yeah.
And he already looks the part. Yeah, that's a lighthouse keeper, all right.
Assigned lighthouse keeper at birth.
And yes, we are kind of jealous of this guy who gets to live in absolute isolation aside from a few penguins as friends. Of course we do. Here's the BBC with more on old Sandy Duthie, moving across the world
He's got a lighthouse name.
to be alone. Sandy Duthie, 42, jumped at the chance when the previous lighthouse keeper decided to retire after 25 years on Gabo Island off the coast of Victoria. Landing the lighthouse keeper and island caretaker job means he is now spending 6 months of the year, 1 month on and 1 month off, with a colony of penguins for company.
Oh, so this is true. He and another keeper who has now been working there for 16 years share the month-on, month-off rotation. Sandy and his enormous beard, which he has been cultivating for many years, and which he thinks may have helped in the job interview, started his new job back in March. He gets to and from the island via a small boat charter. Takes about 30 minutes if the weather allows it. The conditions are often choppy, and there tend to be whales nearby. He described Gabo Island as small, but with amazing wildlife. We have little penguins, a large colony of them, he said. We have whales, sea eagles, and seals. We have whales go past constantly at the moment. I saw around 15 or 16 today. Sometimes there are 30 or 40 a day. Don't get me wrong, there are some days where it seems like a prison sometimes. Previous caretaker described it as Alcatraz, the rock. You can't leave. Go to family events if you're here. Sometimes we get stuck on here for days on end because of the weather.
Breaking out rocket launcher.
Heaven. Sounds like it.
It's the perfect,
Oh my God.
perfect place to be. You get paid to sit around.
Imagine.
I know that it's more than that.
Imagine how much you could get done.
Establish counter UAV overflight.
There was time now.
Hardpoint is secure.
You can end up
Lead is on.
having sex with a mattress.
That's right.
We need another lighthouse keeper that's stranded there. Some paranormal things might be afoot.
Things will get weird.
Once shit gets crazy.
Start drinking turpentine.
Finally today, it looks like at least some of the 10,000 soldiers that North Korea sent to fight alongside Russia have gotten a little taste of the internet, and they like what they taste. They have lost all interest in anything else, apparently. They took one look at the internet and said, "Awooga!" So, clearly the North Koreans have not heard about No Nut November. It's a worldwide phenomenon that they were not aware of. Because according to the chief foreign affairs commentator for the Financial Times, a usually reliable source tells me that the North Korean soldiers who have deployed to Russia have never had unfettered access to the internet before. As a result, they are gorging on pornography. They can't get enough. They cannot get enough.
They should just be dropping, like, pornography leaflets.
Yeah. How can you fight a war when you're distracted by those giant balloons? Yeah. Now, because we are living in this very dumb reality, a spokesman for the Defense Department was asked about this topic, and he responded to a military magazine saying the following. As entertaining as that sounds, I can't confirm any North Korean internet habits or virtual extracurriculars in Russia. Army Lieutenant Colonel Charlie Dietz told Task and Purpose. We're focused on the more serious aspects of North Korea's involvement, if any, in Russia's military operations. As for internet access, that's a question best directed to Moscow. Right now, our attention remains on supporting Ukraine and addressing the more significant regional security concerns.
Which, yeah, sure, there are more important things to be worrying about, but if true, this would this not be a huge exploitable vulnerability for the entire North Korean army?
Come on.
Tossing impact grenade.
We should be funding our OnlyFans stars through military and DoD contracts because their content might save lives, and it might allow for a crushing blow to the Russian front line. A handful of porn stars, a real Hogan's Heroes, a real dirty dozen, could change the world by distracting our foes at critical moments like this. And maybe the DoD shouldn't brush off the obviously incredible tactic that we are offering them right now.
They've proven to be susceptible to pornography. Why are we exploiting this?
Yeah. Not even just porno. They should start catfishing these guys.
Captured the hard point.
I think that already happens in the CIA. Yeah, on a large scale.
Do it more.
Do it more. Imagine getting North Korean or Russian soldiers hooked on bots that are supposed to be real.
Yeah, we have AI for that now.
There you go.
See, AI is good.
This one scenario. Anyways, that is just a bunch of dumb stories at the end there. Just kind of like, I don't know, do whatever in the mood. We'll be back with Weekly Weird News. Hope you're having an okay week. Make sure you like the video for engagement. Make sure you leave a comment down there and talk about anything for the engagement, of course. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. And if you somehow missed it, we got episodes for you to watch over here. We have us yelling at the Democratic Party for 30 minutes. And bad Democrats. And another episode from earlier in the week before everything went to shit. So check all those out, and we'll be back with Weekly Weird News. And hopefully not depression news. But who knows? Weird world going forward. Bye. Bye.
Hardpoint identified.
How do you justify the unjustifiable? What do you do when you are completely committed to defending a state, no matter what it does, when what it's doing makes doing that increasingly difficult, and when trying to do so will invariably make you come off as more than a little bit ridiculous, as well as a Goebbels tier genocide propagandist? It turns out that that self-assigned job is really quite difficult, and I'm going to go over some examples here that show how do you justify the unjustifiable. What do you do when you are completely committed to defending a state, no matter what it does, when what it's doing makes doing that increasingly difficult, and when trying to do so will invariably make you come off as more than a little bit ridiculous, as well as a Goebbels tier genocide propagandist? It turns out that that self-assigned job is really quite difficult, and I'm going to go over some examples here that show just how hard of a task these brave pro-genocide propagandists have committed themselves to in their fanatical, never-ending quest to
Hardpoint is
justify,
secure.
downplay, apologize for, or
Hostiles
deny
have the hardpoint.
anything they think they possibly can regarding the ongoing Gaza genocide. This video was made possible thanks to my supporters on Patreon and Ko-fi. If you like it and you'd like to see more like it, consider heading over there and supporting it yourself. This is Israel's self-appointed lawyer, the YouTuber Lonerbox. He has taken it upon himself to do every possible thing that he can to defend Israel's Gaza genocide. You are about to see him attempt his best defense of the revelation from a New York Times investigation that Israeli soldiers have intentionally been massacring children in droves by a single precise shot to the head. Multiple doctors and nurses who spend time serving in Gaza hospitals during the genocide attested to the fact that between them, they had seen many dozens, upwards of 100 in total, cases of children shot in the head. And they provided the New York Times with x-rays that show these injuries, as well as photographic evidence, which the Times considered too graphic to publish, of these children's gunshot wounds to the head. The evidence that this is a systemic practice of the Israeli military in Gaza is quite overwhelming. So how does a pro-genocide propagandist deal with this? Let's take a look. Here is the reaction of Israel's lawyer to seeing political commentator Mehdi Hassan bring this up in a debate.
3 American doctors went to Gaza. Dr. Fayaz Sidra, Dr. Irfan Galaria, and a Jewish American doctor called Dr. Mark Perlmutter. All of them came back at separate times. Said children were brought into hospitals we were in with gunshot to the head, sniper shots. Perfect. Exact targets. There is no tunnel to justify shooting toddlers in the head. Israeli sniper.
Does this guy not know how sniping jobs work? Like, the problem with sniping isn't, like, the accuracy is not because obviously you got your scope and the fucking, like, yeah, it's quite easy, you can accurately snipe, but targets and personnel move really, really fast when you're sniping.
Dude! Perfect headshots to baby? Shut the fuck up, are you kidding? Holy shit! Shame on this motherfucker, right? Wow.
Like, snipers make their decisions in less than a split second in combat situations. Unless he's suggesting there were just a couple of kids sitting on the hill and a guy opposite in a building just went, got him, take him out. Maybe someone committed a war crime.
Yes! 100% it's a war crime.
Israeli policy is to snipe kids for no reason.
Well, the evidence says that they are. I mean, just because you got the feels that it's not true doesn't mean fucking asshole.
Snipe toddlers, but okay.
Okay, so the rebuttal there is that apparently this is just happening by accident. Israeli snipers are...
Whoopsie, shot a baby in the head. Whoops, you know, it happens.
Accidentally shooting hundreds of kids in the head because they are mistaking them for fighters or something. And apparently this guy is a sniper expert, and that's how he knows this is happening. It really is that simple.
Does this guy not know how sniping jobs work?
Now, refuting this...
Do you know how sniping jobs work, you freak?
On a factual basis seems redundant and stupid to even do, because it's clear that he's just making this up in the moment. It's not really a serious argument or anything. He's just desperate to defend anything that Israel does, and that's just what happened to come to his mind in that moment. Nonetheless, it can be refuted on a factual basis. You aim for the head in an assassination when you are sure that you have the shot, and your aim is not to disable the target as a threat, but rather to ensure a kill. In a combat situation, if these were militants who pose a threat, the aim first and foremost is to disable them as a threat, rather than to kill them. And the head is a much smaller target than the body, so it is far safer to aim for the body. So
and babies' heads are super small.
Headshots makes it very, very clear that these are deliberate targeted killings of children. You do not accidentally precisely aim at the head of a child and pull the trigger hundreds of times. Not that it would stop being a war crime if they were killing hundreds of preteen children with body shots by any means. And it would also be quite obvious anyway, looking through a sniper scope, that you are looking at a child. and not a militant. To precisely aim for the head, line up a shot, take the shot, and hit it, not just once, but hundreds of times, indicates a level of intent that can only reasonably be described as systematic. But what is Israel's lawyer's argument for why he thinks that despite that overwhelming evidence, it's actually not so obvious? Well,
but I don't think that's Israeli policy is to snipe kids for no reason. To snipe toddlers. But okay.
You heard right. Just that he thinks Israel wouldn't do it. That's all. That's all he needs. They wouldn't do it. I don't believe they would do it. Evidence be damned. They are not doing it. I said so.
It's exactly what I said. His feelings. I was like, I don't feel like that's true. Evidence says it is. I like you more every day.
Case closed. There's a clear implication there which should be obvious to anyone who is familiar with the rhetoric of pro-Israel propagandists. That also implying that they would do that intentionally is anti-Semitic. And this sort of claim is very oft-repeated. For example, in this tweet by another pro-Israel propagandist who was very adamant that Israel would simply never kill a child intentionally. It's impossible. They just committed tens of thousands of unfortunate accidents, systematically, in a clear pattern over the course of a year. Or this abhorrent Guardian article where another pro-Israel propagandist explicitly argues that the media citing factual information about Israel murdering children is a form of anti-Semitic line libel. Now, Israel's lawyer isn't quite as explicit as that guy was, but the implication is there. He knows what he's doing. The others who do the same thing know what they're doing. The best argument that they have is that in spite of all the evidence that makes it clear as day that they are in fact doing this, they wouldn't do it. After all, they're Jewish. Jewish people can't commit atrocities like everyone else. How dare you imply otherwise? Aside from massacring children, women, men, the elderly, babies, pretty much anyone they can get their hands on, Israel has also been making their defenders' jobs quite a bit harder by just plain making shit up all the time. Whether it's elaborate, obviously fake 3D renderings of Hamas command centers under a hospital, which they then use to justify multiple massacres committed at that hospital, or making ludicrous claims like Palestinians massacring 40 babies, the job of the self-appointed lawyers of Israel becomes harder with every single claim made. Let's refer back to that one again to see how he dealt with the 40 beheaded babies claim.
Again, this is why it's like the 40 beheaded babies. That hoax was not an Israeli, I think there's a better way to put it. The 40 beheaded babies was not actually an Israeli government hoax. It wasn't. It was a misspeak from a journalist that was spread around the world by a few fucking nutters, and then the people who really made it last were people who were anti-Israel. They were the ones who spread that. They're the ones who kept that alive.
So his strategy here is not to blame that propaganda on the Israelis who made it up and spread it, but rather to blame the people who are against Israel's genocide for calling them out on it and not allowing them to forget it. The first part of his strategy here is not a very advanced one. It's known as lying. He lies about this idea that this was just an error made by one reporter, which was not spread by the Israeli state or other Israeli propagandists, nor anyone of any significance. It was merely mostly picked up on by opponents of Israel, solely by them, which is apparently a bad thing for them to do, because, I don't know, apparently it's wrong to point out that Israel is inventing abhorrent, obviously fake, genocide-justifying propaganda over and over again, because who knows why? He doesn't explain it. Here's the thing, though. This was spread by the state of Israel. It was spread by Elon Levy, their official spokesman at the time. It was spread all over official Israeli social media. It was spread by Netanyahu's personal spokesperson.
When you listed the unconscionable atrocities that took place in that kibbutz, you did say that babies have been decapitated. Can I take that as confirmation then? Because that currently is being reported as reported action. That has actually happened there.
Toddlers, babies, I can tell you that they, some of them, heads were cut off. This is what we're hearing from from soldiers on the ground, and yes, they cut off heads. They cut off heads.
Which was then seen by U.S. President Joe Biden, who then repeated the claim uncritically in a press conference.
I never really thought that I would see and have confirmed a picture of terrorists beheading children. I never thought I'd ever... Anyway.
Biden, the most powerful politician in the world, the leader of the state that is Israel's prime backer and accomplice, continued to repeat that claim for months afterwards. So apparently this claim was just made by one reporter and, you know, just sort of was a fart in the wind, according to this guy. When in actual reality, it was spread precisely by the Israeli state itself and their key ally, enabler, and supporter, the President of the United States of America. So the strategy of Israel's lawyer here was firstly just to lie, and then also to build on top of that lie by doing some impossibly stupid mental gymnastics to somehow spin global scale propaganda specifically spread by Israel to justify its genocide on the people who are against the genocide. And I gotta say, it doesn't work at all. It is just kind of self-evidently ludicrous how these people are twisting themselves into knots to justify the unjustifiable. To willingly not just embarrass yourself in public like this, but to do it for the purposes of justifying genocide. I don't think there is an adjective that is strong enough to describe that level of both idiocy and depravity. The Israelis, their supporters, and their American allies spread an obvious lie about fake dead Israeli babies to justify their massacre of thousands of very real Palestinian babies. And we have people like this not talking about those actually real massacred Palestinian babies, but rather how Israeli propaganda about fake massacred Israeli babies is actually to blame on those who are against Israel's genocide. The pure dismissiveness that this guy displays when it comes to Palestinians being massacred, children, babies being killed, it's just inhuman. But if you thought that was bad, how about we move on to one of Lonerbox's best friends and frequent collaborators, the streamer Destiny. Topically, he had some comments to make about the self-evidently absurd 40 beheaded babies propaganda, in which he just uncritically accepted Israeli propaganda entirely at its word.
The beheaded baby one, it was mostly factually correct, right? There were 40 dead babies, at least one was decapitated. They weren't all 40 decapitated, right? But it says most correct, not 40 beheaded babies, 40 dead babies with 2 of their heads cut off, right?
So much for it only being hung on to by those dastardly anti-genocide people.
There's a misspeak from a journalist that was spread around the world by a few fucking nerds.
Now let's compare the standard of evidence that Destiny has for accepting ridiculous claims made by Israelis with the standard of evidence that he applies to literal video evidence of Palestinians being executed right before his eyes by the Israeli military. Now I can't show the context of the clip that he's reacting to here for fear of potentially getting this video taken down by YouTube for showing someone literally dying, but I will describe it to you and there will be a link in the description. A reporter for the British news outlet ITV approaches a group of people in an Israeli-declared safe zone for civilians. These people are holding a white flag and waving it in order to make it clear to any Israeli troops that they are civilians. The reporter interviews a few of them. They explain that they are evacuating because, as is clear from the billowing smoke and gunshots which can be heard in the background, the supposed safe zone is no longer safe. Having interviewed the men, the interviewer turns around and leaves. Suddenly, Israeli troops begin firing on this group and they hit one of them, killing him instantly. He is pulled aside behind cover by his companions, where they are joined by other civilians who are also evacuating. Amidst their screams and cries as they realize that he is dead, the Israeli soldiers begin to fire on them again. To reiterate, again, this was a group of civilians, including children, who were waving white flags. They had done everything that Israel had told them to do. They were in an Israeli-declared safe area, and they were in the process of evacuating to a different safe area. So what did Destiny think about this? Well,
the interview complete, our cameraman walked away.
So like what? So he is interviewing the guy who's about to go do some shit to get himself killed, basically. That's what's gonna happen. We know from this point, that's what's gonna happen. So he walks away, gets back a little bit, and then he sets up behind this thing, right? Is this concealment, I guess? Not covered, right? Because I think the tent's over here. So now he can capture the footage right here. He sees the guys walking, knowing that they're about to get shot, because that's what's gonna happen. And then eventually they get shot and everything is, this is it. It's like act 1, 2, and 3. It's like all here. Now this guy is down. He's dead. These guys are like, they're not even.
Why is he assuming that, like, oh, they're just gonna die? Do they have white fucking flags? They're civilians. Why were they gonna die? They were unarmed. This is a genocide. I mean, that's like, dude, there's no other like explanation. No other like, oh my God. Wow. Holy, the callousness. I just don't get it. Like, I don't know how like politics alone can like wreck your brain to this point where you not care about civilians getting shot for no reason. It's crazy.
Even like, they're not even running. They're not even like cowering and running away and screaming in fear. There's like, okay, well, they did it. We got our shots. Okay, is this guy done? Oh, shit. Well, okay. Well, we brought the white flag so we can put that over the bleeding part, assuming he got shot and it's actually right.
Flag
and then this guy, what, is this guy running back to grab the wife?
By this stage, the man's wife, his widow, has heard what happened.
And then, like, what does this mean? The wife has heard what happened. Like, bro, this is crazy. I'm sorry.
Holy dude, you're going. If there is a hell, I'll see you there, Destiny. You cunt.
Sorry. The tracking live movement shot of the lady running up to her dead husband? Like, what is this?
Because it happens all the time,
By
motherfucker.
This stage, the man's wife, his widow, has heard what happened.
Somebody went back and told her, right? The 5 martyrs that walked forward, you know, your husband was the unlucky guy. He drew the short stick today, so come forward, cry for us on camera. Do you think the guy intentionally wanted to get killed? No, I don't think he wanted to die. I don't think they were thinking they were going to die, but they probably were hoping to get shot at, or maybe so you're saying the woman was acting? I don't think the woman was acting. She probably was sincerely sad. Her husband got fucking killed. But I think they were farming TikTok clips. I mean, remember, these people, I think they hate these people who actually, like, have suicide bombers. So it's not that big of a stretch to imagine that they would be willing to get shot. However, now...
Wow, bro. I don't even know. It's like these people are culturally suicidal. What the fuck?
We've taken the lead. Stay on task.
Dude, the whole political discourse in the United States is fucked in the fucking face. 100%. No one knows what they're talking about. You can say fucking anything. People are like, oh yeah, but based on nothing, because people are fucking so uneducated in this fucking country that they don't know up from fucking down, right from wrong, left from right. Dog shit. Absolutely. Yeah, my cat knows too. It's nuts. The fact that he can say something like that like he's basically saying that, like, well, Arabs, they suicide bomb, so of course they're totally fine with just getting shot. Dude, that's so nuts. I've never heard anything that crazy. Holy shit. I'm glad that Ethan is buddy with this dude. This guy is, I don't know. Is he a human being?
Hostiles reclaim the lead.
Are you autistic, bro? Do you not understand what it's like to have human feelings? You fuck.
I haven't gone down this road because this is way more, it would require me to make a lot more assumptions, but it's also possible he didn't get shot, right? Now, do we know the name of the guy? Is he actually dead? Do we even know if this is his wife? These are a whole bunch of questions that would be valid. Now, if I was way more on the pro-Zionist side, I would be asking those questions. Who is this guy? Do we even know if he's actually fucking dead? Like, we don't actually see the wound, right? It seems like they don't have any problem showing anything else. Like, why
hey, who's fucking dying in Gaza? Yeah, what are the chances?
The actual gunshot, you have no problem showing other violence, right? What Pallywood means is that you're capturing intentional video footage to sell a certain narrative about what's going on, basically. So
they're gonna fucking let her husband die,
right? So the idea is
for
that, like, 4
TikTok
civilians are like walking up and kind of like a clip here. The idea is shooting them for no reason because they're civilians with white flags, and you kind of ignore the fact that, like, okay, well, they're in a battle zone in an area they were told to evacuate from, and they're going back to try to release somebody that was captured. That's what the white flags are for, you stupid fuck. Hollywood, I think. You're essentially provoking the enemy to take what is largely a justified act.
What is provoking? The white flag? How dare you raise a white flag? You're provoking us. Dude. Bullshit out of my no one's gonna see this little. I hope fucking just get fucking dick cancer. Cancer in your dick and ass, just fucking cancer out. Fuck off.
action and then trying to say that it's like indiscriminate civilian killing. It's like a setup. It's not fake, but they're doing it to themselves. You're dehumanizing yourself. You're suiciding and sacrificing your
Dude, that
civilian
wasn't a
population.
suiciding. They did not want to die. Holy shit. No, okay.
Did you get that? Did you
Yeah.
digest
Holy shit,
what
Bad
was just said
Avenado.
there? Taking it in?
Holy
The
shit.
Palestinian
Holy
civilians
shit.
were asking for it by trying to make a crossing in an officially Israeli declared safe zone for civilians, no less. They are responsible for their own murder. It's their fault for walking around with a white flag while being so Palestinian in the vision of an Israeli soldier. Much like Lonerbach's, his very first instinct when he is confronted with overwhelming evidence of the state which he unconditionally supports committing war crimes. When said evidence renders outright denial impossible, the first thing that comes to mind for him is to blame the victims for their own deaths. He literally, unironically, makes the argument that Palestinians are essentially like baiting Israeli soldiers by walking provocatively with a white flag into killing them so that they can film it to do what he calls farming TikTok clips. This is the level of depravity, of desperation.
Depravity is a nice way to put it. This is lunacy. This is unhinged fucking just delusion. What planet are you on, Destiny? Ain't Earth. Unbelievable. Wow. Wow. Like, seriously, never heard such a cold-blooded justification for death. Any context. It shows the acceptability of racism towards Palestinians. Where you can basically be like, them basically just existing and walking down the street. It's like asking. Wow. Holy fuck.
That the genocide propagandists are at. Israel's actions are so obvious, so clear, so well evidenced, so indefensible that there are frequently times like these where the best defense they can muster is, well, what did you expect, man? It's not like you can expect an Israeli soldier to resist an opportunity to just murder a Palestinian civilian. You were kind of asking for it here. And they aren't even cognitive of what they're saying is a denouncement of themselves, of Israel, of everything they're trying to defend. The Goebbels level Israeli genocide propaganda that they are utilizing to attempt to justify their genocide, that's the fault of Palestinians and their supporters for even talking about it.
People who were anti-Israel, they were the ones who spread that.
Palestinian civilians being murdered by Israel on video in broad daylight while waving white flags in an Israeli declared safe zone, that's their fault too.
I think they were farming TikTok clips.
Now, genocide justification usually has levels to it. It has like a checklist. First, it's blatant lies, attempting to sow doubt about the facts. You know, we can't really know what's going on, right? There's the fog of war, it's very unclear, though in this case, it's very much not unclear. The evidence is totally overwhelming. You see it on your social media feed every single day. They nonetheless have to act like the evidence is not clear, have to muddy the waters because it's the best that they can manage. To begin with, it's either that or just outright denying that it happened. The evidence is fake. It's Pallywood, as our friend Destiny so graciously called it. It's a Hamas conspiracy to delegitimize Israel, stuff like that. Then once that argument inevitably falls over, they move on to what Lonabox tried in that first clip. Okay, so it did happen, but there is an accident or there is some other explanation for it. Then when that doesn't work out, they move on to claiming, okay, so it wasn't an accident, and maybe there isn't a good explanation for it, but that's not representative of the conduct of the Israeli military overall. Please ignore the endless evidence that it is. It's got nothing to do with the Israeli government or systematic Israeli policy. It's just one or two guys doing some bad stuff, you know? Then when none of that works, when they are backed into a corner by the endless evidence that makes it abundantly clear that this is very much intentional policy, they move on to one of two things. Acknowledging that it's happening, but implying that somehow the victims made it happen, or the tried and tested strategy of, so are you implying that Israel would intentionally do the thing that there is clear evidence that is intentionally doing? What are you, anti-Semitic? Now I'm going to bring up a clip of Israel's lawyer desperately trying to defend Israel from the charges, incredibly well evidenced, that it is systematically using Gazan civilians as human shields. This is something that has been evidenced by dozens of testimonies of the victims, by clear photo and video evidence of it occurring, and by Israeli soldiers themselves who have come forward to say that the practice is happening. Think about the checklist that I went over and see which tactic you can see being used here.
Let him have it,
I'm guessing you already know that they're using like Gazan civilians to scope out tunnels and buildings, right?
Yeah, I know that, yeah. Or at least the Haaretz article said that, so yeah.
Yeah, that's the top-down thing, so it is policy, it's not just the accountability thing.
Is that like is that actually their military policy though? Because I thought one of the problems there was the soldiers eventually were refusing to do it because of the unlawful.
No, there were some that didn't want to do it, but it was still like the commander issuing the orders, and it's a pretty open secret in the idea, and it hasn't done before in other wars.
Yeah, so you're saying a commander did it, but a commander obviously is not particularly high up in the chain of command. Like, is it the case that is it still the case that it's their IDF policy? Like, it's the policy from like the chief of staff though, or is it like commanders are doing it, but people are turning a blind eye? Because that's like my argument. My argument is that people are getting away with committing crimes because there's not going to be accountability, but it still doesn't negate the fact that their training even tells them not to do that. Their training tells them if you get an unlawful order, you're supposed to disobey.
So he's making the bad apples argument here, except not for individual soldiers, but for commanders. You know, the fact that there are individual soldiers who are refusing this order and going to the media to complain about it indicates that it is in fact systemic, that it is in fact policy, because it is coming from the commanders, and it is only a few individual soldiers who have denounced it. That is the exact opposite of a few bad apples. But he nonetheless tries to make that argument because nothing else occurs to him. I'm eagerly awaiting the sequel to this argument. It's just a few bad prime ministers. Like half of his arguments are these clearly systemic practices that have been repeated time and time again in a clear pattern of conduct that is simply undeniable, are somehow not indicative of Israeli policy, of Israel's goals in this so-called war, of why they're there in the first place, and why they're doing what they are doing. While we're on that note, let's go over one final clip. It is his reaction to Mehdi Hassan going over a laundry list of Israel's genocidal crimes that they have committed in the last year.
I don't understand how we're debating this more than 40,000 deaths later. I don't understand how we're still debating this sitting in the comfort of New York, 7,000 miles away from a place that the UN Secretary General has called hell on earth. Justified? Justified? Was Israel justified in carrying out one of the most intense civilian punishment campaigns in history, according to Dr. Robert Pape at the University of Chicago, dropping 500-pound bombs, 1,000-pound bombs, 2,000-pound bombs on schools, hospitals, universities, bookstores, libraries, mosques, churches, refugee camps, apartment buildings, cemeteries, destroying a higher percentage of buildings in northern Gaza that the Allies destroyed in Dresden during World War II, reducing Gaza to 42 million tons of rubble while they got people out of the way? How is that justified? Dropping a bomb, for example, on a 6-story apartment building in central Gaza last October, killing more than 100 people inside, including more than 50 children, with no Hamas target in sight, according to Human Rights Watch, with no explanation offered by the Israeli military. Even till today, was that justified, Elon? Was Israel justified in telling people to go to safe zones and then bombing them and killing them in those safe zones? According to NBC, there were 7 deadly airstrikes between January and April in areas that the Israeli military had specifically designated as safe zones, killing Palestinian civilians like Sabrine Sakani, who was 30 weeks pregnant at the time. She was killed in a safe zone in April. Her little baby, newborn baby, died less than a week later. Was that justified too?
Oh my
Elon?
God!
Was Israel justified in killing a record number of kids in Gaza, 16,000 children, turning Gaza into what the UN has called a graveyard for children, according to Save the Children, killing more kids in the first 3 weeks that were killed globally in each of the past 4 years, killing little kids like 6-year-old Hind Rajab and her 15-year-old sister Leanne, firing 335 bullets into the car they were in. 335 bullets, and then killing the 2 paramedics who went to try and rescue them. Was that justified too, Elon? Was Israel justified in killing a record number of aid workers in Gaza? Right? A record number. Targeting again and again, systematically, car by car, according to Chef Jose Andreas. A specifically, explicitly marked World Central Kitchen aid convoy killing 7 aid workers in the process. Was that justified? Was Israel justified in starving the people of Gaza, using food and water as a weapon of war, to quote both the EU and Oxfam? Was Israel justified in blocking aid trucks from going into Gaza simply because they carry things like crutches, nail clippers, and even chocolate croissants, according to the Washington Post? Was Israel justified in raping, sodomizing Palestinian detainees who were charged with no crimes whatsoever? Rectums, putting hot rods up their rectums, amputating their limbs, according to CNN and the New York Times. Was that rape and torture justified, Elon? Israel, according to the ICC chief prosecutor, who put out a statement calling for the arrest of Elon's former boss, Benjamin Netanyahu, said that Israel may have military goals, legitimate goals, but the way they're carried out, killing innocent people, starving people, is criminal, he said. Criminal, think about that. Elon Levy is a former spokesperson for a man who the ICC chief prosecutor was arrested for war crimes. Elon himself has produced a number of lies, sorry John, in service of those war crimes. He has a bunch of tweets still up tonight which say that babies were beheaded on October the 7th, babies were baked in ovens, babies were ripped from their mother's wombs. October 7th was bad enough, but Elon had to exaggerate it for atrocity purposes. Those tweets are still up. Why would you trust anything this man says to you tonight? Look, he's here. He's here to gaslight you, to defend the indefensible, to excuse the inexcusable, to justify the unjustifiable, but you don't need to. Tonight you can choose to be on the side, not of cruelty, not of criminality, but on the side of the innocent people of Gaza who are being killed as we speak tonight, as we speak, by Elon's former colleagues in the Israeli military on the orders of Elon's former bosses in the Israeli government. So yes, I choose to oppose this horrific and homicidal motion.
I think the problem is that if you want to get, I'm trying to think of like how you would illustrate what's wrong with what Mehdi's saying. Is let's assume that every case that Mehdi put forward was true. When he talks about particular incidents like the WCK bombing or the person who was the child who was shot while they were in a car or like all this kind of stuff. So if they're talking about that, then it's kind of like saying that doesn't really, you could just argue none of that actually says whether or not the broad military campaign is justified or not. You understand that, right?
So apparently the fact that Israel is clearly systematically committing war crimes, crimes against humanity, pretty much every international crime that you could ever think of, on a mass scale, patterns that make it clear that they are there in order to do what they are literally doing. We, however, cannot judge their so-called military campaign by what they are doing. The fact that they are doing these things says nothing about whether them doing those things is actually justified or not. Apparently, in order to deduce why Israel is doing what it is doing in Gaza, we can't look at what it's doing in Gaza. You're like destroying 60% of all buildings in the territory, many of them through literal controlled demolitions. Schools, mosques, churches, museums, all destroyed intentionally. Massacring endless scores of civilians with numbers that are simply impossible to achieve unless it is being done intentionally. We apparently can't look at that and say, yeah, they're there because they want to kill the civilians. That's why they're killing them. They're there because they want to expel the civilians. That's why they are expelling them. They're destroying every single building there because they want to destroy it, because they want to destroy Gaza. No. You can't do that. Why? He just sort of decided you can't. That really is all there is to it. That's his argument. And that is aside from, you know, all of the undeniable statements, plans, etc., coming from the Israeli state. They make it very clear that this is what they want to do from the very beginning, and it's what they have been doing, and that they are going to continue to be doing it, like their leaked plans to do exactly what they are doing, which filtered out already in October 2023, people at the highest levels of government outright saying that that is what they are doing. They openly discussed plans to build concentration camps in Gaza, which the survivors will be hoarded into for threat of death if they try to leave. The Israeli military just openly declaring today, as I film this video, that they have no intention to allow the residents of the northern Gaza Strip to return to their homes, and that anyone in the entire northern half of Gaza is not a civilian who they can just freely kill. Ignore all of that, right? Or try to frame it as if it's not indicative of broad Israeli policy. You know, just a few fringe crazies like, you know, the prime minister of the country, the defense minister, the top brass of the IDF, you know, who are those people, right? That's just a couple of bad apples. It's incoherent. It's incredibly stupid. They make themselves look like massive dumbasses and horrid people, all because they have committed themselves to defending the clearly indefensible. Lonerbox has a particular disdain for Mehdi Hassan, by the way. You can see that in this clip.
I will happily support this pin because I support the release of all the hostages and I support the release of thousands of Palestinian detainees being raped and tortured and children. Do you support that? Let's swear it together. Do you support the release? Do you support the release of Palestinians? I do not support. Do you support the release of Palestinian children? Do you support the release of Palestinian children?
Why is he? Oh God, what a fucking creep, man. Again, you can talk.
You just called him a creep? Lonerbox, fuck your mother. I fuck your mother in the ass. Fuck you. Fuck. That's right. My cat's even like, hell yeah, dude. I hope all the things worst things in the fucking world happen. Lonerbox, bitch.
Talk about the unlawfulness of the imprisoning, but like the Palestinians who are imprisoned in Israeli centers are not imprisoned like randomly.
Of thousands of Palestinian detainees being raped and tortured and children. Do you support?
So Mehdi Hassan mentions that Palestinians are being kidnapped from Gaza by the IDF, put into concentration camps in Israel, and then systematically starved, tortured, and mass raped, a practice that we mostly know about because many of the torture and rape victims were released without any charge, showing that even Israel thinks that they were innocent of whatever it is that Israel initially accused them of. Lonerbox's immediate reaction to this is to laugh. He smiles, he laughs, he's like, oh my God, not this bullshit again. And then he goes on to say that the tortured and raped prisoners, including children, as Mehdi Hassan specifically mentioned children, had it coming. They deserved it. Israel wouldn't just torture and rape anyone, right?
The Palestinians who are imprisoned in Israeli centers are not imprisoned like randomly.
You notice how he called Mehdi Hassan a creep for mentioning that?
Do you support the release of Palestinian children?
Why is he? Oh God, what a fucking creep, man.
As if his own position is not accurately defined as one that can only come from a creep. The disdain for Hassan is...
Are you going to release the children?
The reason for that is pretty simple.
Psychotic.
Mehdi Hassan drives liberal Zionists like this absolutely mad because he's essentially what they pretend to be. Hassan has a long history of being a partisan for Western imperialism, of denouncing any resistance against it, including Palestinian resistance to Israel. He never would have been allowed anywhere near the prominent mainstream media positions that he's held throughout his career if that wasn't the case. However, when Hassan sees something so clearly indefensible, so overwhelmingly well evidenced, like Israel's Gaza genocide, he's not hyper committed to defending Israel no matter what, so he's still able to point to Israel's obvious crimes and call a spade. But liberal Zionists like Lonerbox, like Destiny, are hyper committed to defending Israel, no matter what. So when guys like Hassan, who otherwise share their professed liberal ideology, don't mince words about the facts of what Israel is doing, don't act as if they are Israel's lawyer, it exposes them as what they really are, not the humanistic, critical thinking progressives that they like to present themselves as, but rather partisan, genocidal, ethno-nationalist, settler colonial project whose nature as such was already very difficult for them to argue against or skirt around beforehand, but which is now impossible for them to plausibly deny, as Israel's genocidal actions, broadcast to the world in vivid, horrific detail, have finally made everything so clear that even a liberal like Mehdi Hassan refuses to accept that bullshit anymore. These people are abhorrent, disgusting genocide propagandists. Everyone already knew that about Destiny, but if you've only been exposed to Lonerbox through his main channel content, you might not have known that about him. As I said, his ideology is one called liberal Zionism. It's one that I have spoken about before in a video of mine, which I made more than a year before October 7th and the Gaza genocide. If you would like more information about how people like him use the false idea that they are pro-Palestinian when they are very clearly anti-Palestinian and pro-Israel, to call them people who are sympathetic to the Palestinian cause, but who don't know quite enough about it to realize that it's all an act and that they are being conned into eventually becoming Zionists themselves and nodding along to the kind of genocide-justifying propaganda that we've gone over here, then you should check out that video that I made on the matter, which is very long but nonetheless goes over it in depth and uses Lonerbox specifically as an example of this phenomenon. I don't want to go off on too much of a tangent here about liberal Zionism and what it is. I feel like you might have already gotten this from this video, but yeah, if you want more of an in-depth look at it, I suggest you check out that video. Point is, don't be duped by these people. They have shown their whole ass. It was already obvious to me, as someone who is very well versed on this topic beforehand, before the Gaza genocide, but now it is absolutely undeniable. You simply cannot watch people like this making those sorts of arguments and seriously argue that they are not simply anti-Palestinianists, interested in doing whatever part they can to spread propaganda and enable an ongoing genocide to continue. We can only hope that a day where these people will be held to account, brought to justice for their clear-as-day genocide propaganda will come. Thanks for watching. Free Palestine. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, then subscribe for more. And if you really like my content, consider becoming a monthly supporter on Patreon or Ko-fi, or making a one-time donation on Ko-fi. Now I'd just like to thank all of my supporters, and especially my $25 plus supporters: Gel Cribson, Brosnan, Ace Malad, Robocomi, Exos, Qualia, Mlog, Osman Malik, Tim Wilworth, Lucian, Jack Agora, Yamakawa Yahabib, CW, Geordie, and my $10 plus patrons: Christian Corniels, Can't Care Less, XXXX, Eric Macdans, Ugopnik, Nabiru, B, Johnny Rocket, Firefox 42, Happy Nephron, Minijan, Eric Perkins, Ant, Max Halland, Jack Paul, Kieran Goodwin, Megan Lounge, Soyborn, Comrade Napule, Clement Fudge, Hector Obregon, Asma B, Support Libraries, Jizdog, Cockle Badger, T Street, Aramis Goodspiel, Liam Rowe, Abza Rossi, Mofawak Alamin, Waldemar Dite, Mira, Atawin, and Herculano. Thanks everyone for watching. See you next time. And to expel the Palestinians, and then also, hello everyone. So in a recent stream on their podcast by Ethan and Gila Klein of H3H3 Productions, they engaged in fairly blatant denialism of the Palestinian Nakba of 1948, where around 800,000 Palestinians were killed or expelled by Israeli/Jewish forces, and they also spread a very common pro-Israel propaganda narrative, that is, the narrative that Jews were systematically expelled en masse from what is usually described as Muslim or Arab countries during or immediately following these events. The idea behind this is to create like a sort of proportionality between these two events, the Jewish expulsion of the Palestinians and the flight, exodus, and expulsion of Jews from other Middle Eastern nations, where the latter supposedly cancels out and legitimizes the former. The issue is that this argument, even on its own terms, simply doesn't hold up, and it especially doesn't hold up on a factual basis when you actually look at what occurred and why. So I'm going to use the denialism and spreading of false Zionist propaganda by these two to create sort of a teaching moment about these events. The Nakba, which most people watching probably already know about, but the narrative surrounding so-called Jewish expulsions that follow is something that has not really been talked about nearly as much, in large part because people are afraid of false anti-Semitism allegations regarding it. Now, let's begin with Ethan's narrative about what happened in 1948. And I will explain in depth, though this is going to be a largely off-the-cuff video. I do have all this committed to memory, so I will be citing my sources in post-production as I go along. I will be explaining how this is a Zionist propaganda narrative, how he's erasing the Nakba, how everything that he is saying here serves to legitimize, at least in the eyes of the Israelis, the eyes of their propaganda, and the eyes of their allies, pretty much all of the things that Israel does to the Palestinians, and really the very existence of Israel as what it is, which is a state that affords exclusive special privileges to one group of people at the expense of another group of people based on what the state views as the innate traits that they supposedly hold. So let's watch.
You want to know what the ultimate irony is? 1948, the War of Independence is called in Israel. Others know it as the Arab-Israeli War.
So I just want to note here that Ethan gave this supposed war two names there, but he missed one, the Nakba. And the Nakba is a very relevant and very apt name. The fact of the matter is that when this supposed war happened, the Palestinians had no real organization, no real funding.
Yeah, Nakba means catastrophe, right? All right, Chad.
Stay down.
No really significant armed groups or leadership to protect them to fight back against the Zionist colonists, while the Zionist colonists had, for a very long time, organized terrorist groups, militias, etc. among them, which were extremely well funded by international organizations that they had formed, which were dedicated to funding and fomenting the Zionist colonization of Palestine. Hence, what Ethan Klein calls a war here actually started out.
I wasn't even paying attention. That's how fucking badass I am. Fuck off.
As mass killings and expulsions by an organized military
baseball bat
against the people who did not have one. The Nakba, contrary to the narrative of Ethan and Hila here, began before the intervention of the nearby Middle Eastern Arab states. It was a reaction to it, in fact. By the time of the Israeli Declaration of Independence, more than half of the people who were expelled in the Nakba had already been expelled.
After the partition plan to split the Palestine into a part Arab, part Jewish,
they wanted to split it in half between an innumerable amount of Palestinians and less than half the amount, I think, of Jewish people. They were supposed to split the land 50-50, and that just made no sense. They want to act like, oh, Arabs, they rejected that because it's insane.
As many of you probably know, every Arab country around Israel waged a war of annihilation.
Okay, so Ethan...
Annihilation. They recognized that it was an implant of the West, and they saw it as a danger. Oh, but no. They're just naturally annihilationist. So, dude, it's just, I can't believe, like, the chauvinism, like the cultural chauvinism and display, and he just completely lacking all self-awareness. It is
eliminate the enemy.
Left the Nakba out of his narrative here. That is absolutely inexcusable. It's like leaving the Holocaust out of World War II. It simply cannot be forgiven. It is abhorrent, honestly. It's the only way that his narrative can really hold up here as well. Two is that he presents the partition plan as if it was something that had been agreed upon by all sides. But the fact of the matter is that the UN partition plan was approved by the UN only following incessant lobbying by the US government and by extremely well-funded Zionist organizations. The UN at the time was a very small body. Most countries in the world were not represented there. The process did not involve the actual participation of the Palestinians, who had been there longer than the new arrivals and who had always been against this idea that their country should be partitioned in two on an ethnic basis between themselves and people, most of whom had only started arriving in there in significant numbers in the previous decades. The Israelis, too, officially had never accepted nor implemented the partition plan. They never abided by its terms in any way, shape, or form. One can simply ask basic questions about this, like, has Israel ever respected the fact that the partition plan called for the establishment of 2 states? Have they respected the borders that are laid out? Have they respected the fact that it never legitimized the mass expulsions that they engaged in? No, there is in fact not a single term of the conditions in the plan that they actually engaged in. And irrespective of that, this idea that the Palestinians are wrong for not accepting the plan in the first place is incredibly questionable in of itself. You can see that Ethan Klein presents it as if it is sort of self-evidently true. Like, he does not even question the notion. He's just like, there was this plan for partition. I guess that was it, right? Who cares what the people who have been living there before all of these new Jewish colonists had started arriving thought about it? Who cares about the fact that they had never agreed to it in any capacity? Who cares about the fact that an international body, which at the time was incredibly small, comprising only 56 countries, and being dominated by the US and its allies, had some sort of special right to just declare to these people that more than half of their country was to be given over to Jewish people to form their own exclusive ethno-state. The very premise behind it is obviously flawed, and presenting the partition plan as if it was not clearly a grave injustice is a rhetorical trick to then sort of...
All right, with peace and love, that happened on a good video. I've seen this, but Hassan just dropped a new one titled "Liberals are blaming the left already." I was saying that, like, honestly, all leftists were like months ago. Were like, you know what, they lose, they're gonna blame them. And here we go. Let's check it out.
Anyway, brutal words for her fellow liberals from Democratic strategist Julie Rodzinski. Let's hear what this is about.
Now, I'm going to speak some hard truths to my friends in the Democratic Party. This is not Biden's fault. It's not Kamala
Hard
Harris's
lies.
fault.
I mean, it is on both accounts.
It's not Barack Obama's fault. It is the fault of the Democratic Party in not knowing how to communicate effectively to voters. We are not the party of common sense, which is really the message that voters sent to us for a number of reasons.
Oh, let me guess. Is it? Wait, hold on. Is she gonna say it's because we're not common sense party because we're too pro-trans? That's what it is, right?
For a number of reasons, we don't know how to speak to voters. When we address Latina and
Everyone blames trans people for everything, and everyone should just fuck off.
Like, are they doing that? I don't even know who's doing this. I've never.
When we address Latina and language, listen, language has meaning. When we address Latino voters as Latinx.
No! Who's doing that? Like, are they doing that? I don't even know who's doing this. I've never done it, okay? I don't know who they are talking about. Why are they literally going, you know what? It's just the Democrats are too woke. Do these guys only watch the Ben Shapiro show? Are they the only people who watch Daily Wire?
They're assholes. They're fucking assholes. That's what they are.
Just getting all their talking points from these charlatans. I think there was one time where Kamala Harris said pronouns she, her, hers. You know, that's it. And they lasered in on it. A video.
Oh my God, how could she?
6, 7 years ago. What the who gives a man? Who cares? First of all, I'm just imagining Joe Biden saying Latinx, and that's pretty funny. To all the Latinx out there, Jack, I'm sending your back over the border too. We have the most right-wing border bill. And all you Latinx folk, you're gonna learn today. Wake the up. This is what the narrative war would look like. These are not honest comments. These are neoliberals crafting the narrative to maintain control. They cannot acknowledge this is a lack of class focus, universal policy goals. No, I am awake. What do you mean? I'm very much seeing that. That's why I'm spending a decent amount of time explaining exactly why the it's happening, saying exactly what you just said, and telling you that, like, this is idiotic. This is a cynical right-wing framing instead of accurately addressing the real problems the Democratic Party has. They're just going, it's because we were too woke. It's because we were too woke. No, it's not.
Because that's the politically correct thing to do. It makes them think that we don't even live on the same planet as they do. When we are too afraid to say that, hey, college kids, if you're trashing the campus of Columbia University because you're unhappy about some sort of policy and you're taking over the university.
It's because the college campus students were too woke? Dude, I'm done. Dude, you need to be exiled, okay? You need to be humiliated.
Yeah, you need to fuck fucks.
You need to be tarred and feathered if you legitimately think that this is why the Democratic Party lost. It's the opposite, you idiot. They just kept sidestepping the Palestine question every single time. What are you talking about? We're talking about a country where...
For real. 100. Like they're pulling it out of their fucking stinking assholes. Because they're definitely not getting it from any kind of data. This whole, like, the politics of feels, which was like this whole campaign. Like the fact that, like, the Democrats couldn't get the message across that, like, proportionally speaking, it is more violent in red states than in the bluest of blue states with the biggest of cities, proportionally. And, like, they just didn't buy it. Even, like, despite data. It's like, well, that doesn't feel right. That's like, that's not the narrative I'm getting from my newsmen. They're saying the cities are hellholes and everyone who lives there is dying. But it's not true. But it doesn't matter if it's not true. It's so, dude, we're in trouble. If this lack of self-awareness amongst people is pathetic, okay, it's an insult to it's an insult essentially to human dignity. It's embarrassing. I've never been more embarrassed for humanity.
80% of the Democratic Party's base of support wants a ceasefire and knows that stopping weapons transfers is the only way to stop Benjamin Netanyahu from doing a genocide. 54% of Republicans agree with this, okay? 70% of independents. And this dipshit is like, we just weren't sufficiently pro-Israel. That's what the issue is. We should have killed those students. That's how we would have.
How could they have been more pro-Israel? How?
Won the election. It's like, yeah, you're so evil. You're evil. You're an evil person, okay? You are an evil charlatan. You're not only incompetent.
That's truly the only explanation. To be real.
But you're malicious. And this is the only thing your parents are watching. Just remember that. The only thing your parents are watching is this kind of...
Yo, honestly, like, my parents passed away, but if my mom was still alive, she hated Trump. She died in 2020, and she hated Trump. And you don't know...
Dumb, nonsensical bullshit that deflects the actual responsibility away and just looks at the problem and says, you know what it is? We just didn't do more of the thing that actually made people annoyed with us. This is terrifying. I really did not assume that they would be so quick to immediately go, no. What you don't understand is we weren't right-wing enough.
And you're trashing it and preventing other students from learning that is unacceptable. But we're so worried about alienating one or another cohort in our coalition that we don't know what to say when normal.
Yeah, we were worried about alienating the Palestinians. Oh my God! We were so worried about alienating the pro-Palestinian movement. These people are speaking to zero constituencies. There is no constituency for this kind of sentiment. And they're actively trying to create one within the Democratic Party. The real constituency for this kind of sentiment is in the Republican Party. And what they're doing is going on CNN to actively get your parents to agree with this reactionary attitude. Okay?
People look at that and say, wait a second, I send my kids to college so they can learn, not so that they can burn buildings and trash lawns, right?
Who the fuck is this
and so
bitch?
on and so forth. When we put pronouns after names and say she, her, as opposed to saying, you know what, if I call you by the wrong pronoun, call me out, I'm sorry, I won't do it again. But stop with the virtue signaling and just speak to people like they're normal. There's nothing I'm going to say to Sir Michael that I'm not going to...
Yo, she is just a fucking right in the room. Why are you here, bitch? Why should you listen to this thing you are saying? If you're so fucking right-wing, go be a Republican. Be one of the fucking winners. This is supposed to be the progressive party. Why don't you fuck off? Fucking weirdo. if you literally don't want there to be a progressive party in the United States, if you want the Democrats to be right, it makes no sense. If you're a fucking conservative and if you're right wing, get the fuck out of the Democratic Party, bitch. Bye. The Democrats actually, can we have an actual choice between a fucking right wing cocksucking party and like a progressive party that fucking that actually gives a shit about people and our future? These moronic Democrats think that the answer is to become Republicans. No. If you want to be a Republican, go be a Republican. This is so stupid.
I'm going to say to you that I'm not going to say to somebody else. I speak the same language to everybody.
Stop with the virtue signaling. Stop with the woke mind virus. That's awesome. These guys are deeply unserious, dude. There's never a moment where you are supposed to talk about this. There's no reason to talk about this. It's not a real issue. Republicans desperately try to turn this into a real issue. And when you actually respond to it, you are a idiot, okay? And responding to it, even to defend it, is stupid. Just so you understand. I need you to understand it. Responding to it, even to defend it, is stupid. You're losing the argument. Responding to it and agreeing with it is not only stupid, but also cruel. And I know that this person is deliberately doing this because this is the exit ramp for these careerist pieces of in the Democratic Party. It's not our fault, it's the activists. We hired the activists. We listened to the activists too much. You're an asshole. You're a goddamn charlatan, and you lost the.
You're an asshole, dude. You saw it for me.
Them again and again and again. And in every single defeat, you are going to marginally creep towards their direction. Every single time. Year over year. Shut the fuck up about this woke nonsense, okay? You dumb. Shut the up. This is not a real issue at all. People want more money in their pockets. People want health care. People want housing that is affordable and readily available. And you're over here being like, it's because the college campus students were protesting too hard. You lost Michigan. Dumb. Think about why. It's so stupid. It is so infuriating to see these
literally lost every swing state.
Just without a shred of doubt, without even just no self-reflection
fucking
whatsoever.
wrecked.
Just go on television, put on your fucking suit, and just go, you know, real centrism hasn't been tried. The problem.
Yo, I mean, I'll never trust the goddamn fucking. I got pretty lib. After Biden dropped out, and everyone was saying, dude, it's like the centrist strategy ain't gonna work. We're saying from the beginning, like, Republicans, like the MAGA Republicans at this fucking hate Cheney. They are not neocons. They are fascists. And like this whole like the touting of the endorsement of Cheney's was such a losing strategy, and the fact that they didn't see that like makes me think that like they don't know anything about politics, and that's like that's crazy. They're the Democratic Party. They're one of two of the only parties in this stupid fucking country. And they don't know anything about like what's happening in this country, and like the fact that they got blew out so bad makes me feel like I've been trapped in a bubble. I didn't even know. Like the fact that we had any kind of like optimism and then just get wrecked, just tells me we're in a bubble. Like the liberals put us in a bubble, an uncritical like. Trust us bubble where it's like, don't worry, everyone hates Trump. We're pulling ahead. We're just gonna, we're gonna just. the typical Democratic strategy of like just doing nothing, just hoping that the conditions just let it happen. And it is a losing strategy. A losing loser. And I I think the Democratic Party should just go away. We need a progressive party. We need like a progressive slash labor slash workers slash working families slash whatever party that represents wage earners in this country and oppressed sectors. The Democratic Party is not. They pretend they are, but they're not. And like whenever like they lose, instead of like saying like, well, maybe we should be more progressive or we should be more conservative. And that literally, it makes no sense. They're politically incoherent. They have no idea what they're obviously like just have no idea what they're talking about and should never be trusted again. We need another party. We need a progressive party. There was an actual progressive party that like Bernie Sanders was behind and AOC was behind, and that was like pushing for actual progressive policies like free college, free healthcare, Medicare for all. Trying to do something about the environmental crisis, even though most fucking hogs are too stupid. To like think that like to understand the science of climate change. But they all want healthcare, and they all want, and they would love free college, or at least like free vocational, and just free education in general, and like healthcare, dude. If you don't think every normal American does not want to pay for their healthcare expenses, no one wants to pay for their healthcare expenses. Nobody, because it's super expensive. It ruins lives. No one wants to be put in that situation. And the Democrats are like, why? Because the fucking Wall Street morons that control their policy. Because Wall Street is just full of fucking leeches who don't give a shit about reality. They just want money, milk, light, cheap steel, makeup, whatever they gotta do. Just to create this reality. It's crazy shit.
Hardpoint active. Hardpoint locked down. Watchdog helo incoming on your location.
Where did it come from? I'm tired, dude. I've been in this game for a while, man. I've been like I became politically active, basically like
enemy UAV inbound.
Like around the time of when George W. Bush invaded Iraq. 2002. That's when I became politically engaged, because I remember 9/11. I was there. I wasn't there in New York, but I was cognizant and alive and well aware of what was happening. 9/11 went down, and then like it's just, and then like 6 months later we're about to invade Iraq, and like there was no connection between the two, and they were trying, and like they were like, oh yeah, there is. They didn't present any kind of persuasive argument to connect Iraq and Al-Qaeda. I mean, that was a big thing back then. But they were able to but with the help of the Democrats, went to war with Iraq because of 9/11. Just so nuts. Like I don't. Why the fuck am I even involving myself in American politics? I've known for a long time that it is just, there's so much stupidity going on. The first time I knew that politics were just like, that we weren't working on like a normal level, that like you couldn't really like have like a real conversation or like truly convince people of anything, was the Iraq War, the first Iraq War, actively against it, and the first reaction to the opposition to the Iraq War that I remember was the slogan, "Support the troops." And I remember the first time I saw hogs holding signs that said "Support the troops." And logically, I was like, the troops they don't choose to be there. Like, they're pretending that, like, the troops want to be there, or it's like, it's, this nebulous idea of troops, that there's no hierarchy. It's just this, like, body of soldiers that we must unconditionally respect.
Playtime's over. Let's see what you're made of.
I was like, that was my first reaction. Was like, what do you mean support the troops? You really want to support the troops? Get the fuck out of there so they don't die. But this idea is like, if you're against the war, that means like you're just like, you're against it. To this day, it makes literally no sense. And and back then, I learned very quickly, when you're just kind of like, what the fuck does that mean? I'll be like, it means support the troops.
UAV established overhead. Enemy CUAV inbound.
It's beyond. It's just beyond comprehension. Like true comprehension. It's not beyond comprehension if you hit a dumb hog who doesn't want to think. I feel bad for people who think that thinking is harder than doing physical shit. They're just dumb. Thinking is so much easier than like laboring, doing shit. But they're just like too scared. People are more scared of bugs than they are like dying. We're more scared of like having their intellect tested than like working themselves to death. It's so weird.
Enemy UAV inbound.
Problem is, we're not close enough to the Republican Party. When Kamala Harris literally was like, I am Nikki Haley, okay? I am Nikki Slaley, please vote for me. I am Nikki Haley, I love Liz Cheney, please vote for me. And then the voters looked at that and were like, no, I'm not actually, I'm just gonna sit at home, F you. This is
Hardpoint active. Hardpoint is secure.
I mean, why don't they understand that the problem is that, like, progressives they blame the progressives for not voting for them, but their strategy is always move further to the right. Why would progressives vote for you more if you're moving to the right? It's fuck the Democratic Party. I'm done with them. I'm never voting Democrat ever again. I'm never getting fucking all libbed up ever again. Fuck these idiots. Fucking, we need a progressive party. Like, yesterday. Everyone's like, well, third party agreement. It's like, dude, no, we need an explicitly, like, Bernie Sanders needs to start a new party that, like, people get behind. Because, I'm sorry, the Green Party is, like, no one gives a fuck about the Green Party. No one gives a fuck about any established third party in this country. We need a brand fucking new, exciting alternative to the Democrats that progressives can get behind, and that can like convince even Republican voters to vote for them based on actual policy. Of like, this is what we can do for you and your children and your other loved one. We're going to take care of you. We want to eliminate economic anxiety. We want to make sure no one has to fucking have their lives ruined because of finances, because of school, or because of medical bills, because of like, you know, the cost of living. Like, you don't gotta be some fucking freak communist to get behind them. You could be the biggest redneck, fucking gun-toting, fucking ding-dang diggity, whatever. and be like, well, yeah, I wouldn't mind, like, you know, having some shit taken care of. Like, I wouldn't mind having medical bills taken care of. Like, why would I want to go broke if I get sick, or if someone I love gets sick, someone I'm in the care of gets sick? Everyone gets sick. That's the thing. This whole idea, like, well, you know, I mean, why buy health insurance? You might not get sick. Dude, no, you're gonna get sick. Eventually, we all do. And the fact that, like, we have to fucking pay for that is cruel and obscene. Like, why can't society help us through the worst of the worst? Like, it doesn't get any worse than, like, getting sick and dying. It's like, it's as bad as life can get. Besides, like, having war fucking dropped on your head. Like, it's still, you can argue just as bad. And the fact that, like, society is kind of like, you're on your own, fuck off. It's just gross, bro. And it makes no sense. And it's unreasonable. And really, the only people who are benefiting from it are the most filthiest, richest fucking piece of shit in the fucking universe.
Same. Every single one of these idiots need to be fired immediately. Every single one. Oh my God.
But that's not what Democrats do.
Oh my God.
Constantly try to parse out different ways of speaking to different cohorts because our focus groups or polling shows that so appeals to such and such. That's not how normal people think. It's not common sense.
This lady's a moron. How'd she get on television?
Masquerading right-wing sentiment as common sense, also another, like, very obvious strategy of the right, for the record.
Sense again. Joe Biden is not responsible for that. Neither is Kamala Harris. It is a problem that Democrats have had for years. I've been banging the drum on this for, I don't know how, probably 10 years, if not longer on this. We need to get back to being the party of common sense that people look.
Common sense isn't right-wing politics. Fuck off to the Republican Party. It's like
At us and say, we understand you. We appreciate what you say because you speak our language. And until we do that, we should stop blaming other people for our own mistakes.
This is from the Newsbusters, by the way. The managing editor of Newsbusters posted this. I wonder why. Yeah, if you look at people that are replying and agreeing with it, it's because Newsbusters is a right-wing outlet. What are you talking about? It's like this is a hatchet job. She was a Fox contributor on The Five. Democratic strategist, dude. Nice. I mean, these guys why are they in the Democratic Party? Like, what the f is going on? They're not Democrats.
Grifters.
They're not even remotely woke. They're not liberal at all. They don't give a shit. How the f did the Trump era excise all the country club Republicans, and the Democrats were like, oh my God, this is amazing. Please come to my party, please. We will hire all of you. I despise these demons, dude. I despise them. Yeah, here's the outcome, by the way, of consistently tailoring your message around how Arab voters and Muslim voters and their family members need to be killed. Harris lost Michigan by 82,000 votes. 100,000 Michiganders voted uncommitted in the primary. I saw another take, okay? I need you to hear how insane this is.
And I think there was this very powerful ad, the Republican Jewish Coalition, that was all over the airwaves. A bunch of women sitting around, Jewish women, just saying, I can't stand him, but I felt like we were supporting Israel and we were stronger and we were tougher. And I think that resonates with people.
To your point, the ad that came out beating Kamala up around fear about Israel not being protected. There was never a response in the campaign on that.
It's so fucked up. It's like they lost because, like, of their support for the genocide. And their answer to that is like, we should have supported the genocide harder. Maybe less people could have voted for us.
A big mistake.
And who gives a fuck what Van Jones thinks? That dude's a fucking weird son.
Linda Berman from Zioness had raised money on her own ad.
Yeah, dude, shut the fuck up. You're such a bought and sold charlatan, Van Jones. Suck my dick. Whatever her name is from Zioness. to that special interest group's party because you want to do this. This is why he's doing this, okay? His entire goal on this panel is to just like try and spear dick this obviously completely ridiculous narrative to be like, actually, Kamala Harris wasn't sufficiently pro-Israel. It's so really damaging for the campaign. And then the absolute idiots that watch this that work at the top of the Democratic Party are like, I guess that's true. Like, who are you fooling, dude? What are you doing? This is, for the record, part of the reason why people don't want to watch the news anymore. They don't want to watch your because when you are sitting and watching a CNN panel, and I love CNN. I watch CNN all the goddamn time. Okay, you know this. I have friends that work at CNN. I think CNN is fine overall. But like when I hear this, I'm like, come on. Who is this for, brother? What are you saying? Kamala Harris wasn't sufficiently pro-Israel? What are you saying? Oh, I'm sorry. She didn't say "Am Israel High" at the DNC platform. I guess that's why she wasn't sufficiently pro-Israel. Like, who is this for, brother? Who is this for? I know who it's for. I know what you're doing. Let me tell you who this is not for. American Jews who voted overwhelmingly for the Democratic Party. 80%. Overwhelmingly. Okay? Because guess what? Turns out the Harris poll, or I think it was the Times of Israel poll that came out a couple months prior, was correct. Israel is not their top priority. Okay? You know why? Because they're American Jews. Okay? They're not Jews in Israel. They are Jews in America. They're American citizens. I hate this woke dual loyalty narrative coming from these dumb. They don't live there. If they cared about Israel that much, they'd be living in Israel, okay? Crazy to me that they were just like, they let Trump claim that he was anti-war. Like, I cannot begin to tell you how psychotic that is. One day, Democrats will understand, hopefully, that lesser evil voting and harm reduction narratives do not get off seats. And if they don't learn this, they're going to constantly they're going to just do fascist light. Simone Sanders asked Donnie Deutsch what he means by the Democrats have to move to the center, which is good. I'm glad that Simone Sanders is asking this question because this is a question that should be asked of every single person that goes, no, you don't understand. We got to abandon some of these causes. They keep saying it, but what do they mean by that? Does that mean you have to be more racist? Does that mean you have to be transphobic? Because it's not like they were openly and outwardly pro-trans. They didn't prominently display pro-trans sentiment all over their campaign. That didn't happen. So what do they mean by it?
That's just proof that they like don't give a fuck about immigrants or like LGBT people. Because like their answer is always, we need to abandon these people. And then like and then the LGBTQ community has nowhere to go. And the Democrats are like, well, you should still vote for us because we're not Trump, because we're Democrats. Even though like our positions are coming closer and closer and closer to the Republicans, and like we're basically, you know, giving them what they want and throwing them under the bus. But you should still vote for us. If you don't, like, it's your fault that Trump won. It's just, it doesn't make any sense. It's so insulting. It makes me want to just want to shit on the Democrats' head and shit on it.
By that, also fed up with very super progressive attitudes. I think the Democrats, Joe, going back to your initial question,
super progressive attitudes.
I think they need to move to the center.
Do you have no data on this? Like, we need to move back to this. I can't listen to this. I love you, listening, but I'm so done talking, like, listening to these fucking pieces of shit. Like, true scum. Like, idiots. Like, committed to losing. The world's biggest losers. The biggest losers in human history. Because this are a lot of votes.
to the program. This will not be. There will be no intro.
Yeah, this whole thing is going to be shitposting.
Exactly right. So.
Hey, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
What is happening?
Oh, not too much.
How are you?
Just playing a little campaign.
Yeah, how's it going?
Good. I mean, I had to give up on that elevator shaft thing because I spent about a half hour just kind of looking around the house and looking at that elevator and trying to figure it out and nothing. And with that guy, I don't know if you looked at that video I sent you.
Not yet. Not yet.
Yeah, the guy like is looking up at the elevator shaft, and there was like a little white circle in the ceiling, kind of the elevator, and it's kind of like a circle that appears when you walk up to people and it wants you to talk.
Yeah,
so he
like
was kind of confused by what the heck that was, you know. And interestingly, when I went up to the elevator and looked again, specifically where he was looking, I did not see that white circle. And like I said, I just ended up going outside, going in the basement, going on the upper level, looking at the house like approximately where the elevator would be in other rooms or whatever. And I never figured it out. So maybe it was something they intended to do, and then they got rid of it, but they forgot to erase it from the note. Because I scoured every single inch of that house, that safe house, looking for clues. Never found anything about the bats in the elevator, an event, and it says something about like a sea cave. I'm like, you wander outside, you can only go so far, and then it tells you return to mission. So,
tomorrow I'm gonna look see if Ink Slasher covered it. I mean, I basically watch 2 Call of Duty channels for the most part, like Ace and Ink. I get the information about what's happening and the guns and stuff from Ace, and like the story and just kind of like non-technical stuff from Ink Slasher. You know what I mean? And like
yeah.
And but he put out a video where it's like, this is how you do all the secret codes or this, the puzzles or whatever. And I'm not sure if he actually covered the section of the game you're talking about, but I would assume he did. But I don't know. I'll look it up tomorrow. I haven't touched the campaign since the last time I talked to you, so I'm obviously way behind. But
yeah, no, it's too late for me now anyway, because I progressed through the mission, and it warns you before you go to it's like the final. I'm in the final thing now, and it tells you once you go forward, you're not going to be able to explore the safe house anymore.
I'm gonna be honest,
so
though. There might be multiple endings to this game. Playability might be pretty high. I'm assuming. There's probably more. I mean, you know how Cold War had 2 different things. I'm willing to bet that this game has like more than 2.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I'm definitely at this kind of finale scene, and it's super psychedelic. There's a bio weapon and psychedelic drug that's freaking out this lady and making her remember
like that.
Childhood memories. There was some scary stuff. I told you about those mannequins.
Yeah,
they brought back the mannequins, and you're in this woman's like psyche, essentially, kind of exploring creepy rooms, trying to put together broken aspects of her personality. And these mannequins are creeping around. It's pretty fucking terrifying.
Dude, I don't know what it's gonna take to get me just like gonna grind the campaign. I don't know what it's gonna take, dude. I really feel brain broken.
Well, for me, it was just a half hour, at a time, and then I was
just giving it like.
Then I started spending. Yeah, I mean, especially since you like multiplayer so much, I would just say do a half hour. And you know what? I did it like that a little bit, and then next thing I know, I was like, "Oh, I gotta keep doing this."
Yeah.
You know what I mean, it's kind of it's addictive.
I get that. All right, that's a great idea.
But
I'll shoot for half an hour tomorrow, like at least, and hopefully I'll get addicted. That's the plan.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Like I said, there's some different stuff. Yeah, I will warn you though, there are a lot of puzzles. They're not. I don't think they're hard. But if you really hate puzzles and get frustrated, you may get frustrated and get annoyed. There was one thing I remember I was getting kind of pissed off about, because there's like these arrows that are pointing at certain areas of the wall which have numbers on them, and you're like, oh, okay, follow the arrows, and then like I get to this last arrow that's like pointing kind of at a ceiling, and I'm like, okay, what am I supposed to do here? And I'm like going outside, I'm looking in this shed, I'm like, I go over, and I forgot exactly what it was that I'm going to be of no help when you get through it, but yeah, most of them aren't that hard. They're intuitive, you know what I mean? But it's mixed in with the action craps.
Whenever I'm like in a situation, particularly in video games, where it's like I don't know what to do, I don't know where I'm going, I'm stuck. I start getting dizzy and nauseous. It sucks. I'm going, oh.
You get like a cartoon, like weird stars above your head
kind
that
of
swirl around.
a little bit. Cause I'm like in a constant battle with motion sickness, and for some reason it like
oh no,
that like destroys my defenses, and then like all of a sudden I just like start sweating. I'm like I can't play anymore.
Oh man. Well, I will warn you, when you're wandering around the dark with a flashlight in this game sometimes, especially like the area that I'm in this super psychedelic thing, it's terrifying, but it's also disorienting because you can only see in the the beam of your flashlight, and then all of a sudden, a mannequin or a zombie kind of comes out of nowhere. And, yeah, but
this I mean, this is what, your 4th or 5th campaign, if you're counting Modern Warfare 2 and 3 together?
Yeah, I don't know if I finished the one Vanguard.
You didn't finish Vanguard?
I did. I think I did. Yeah, I did. I remember having a problem with that one, but in at least one of the segments. Yeah, I think I've done them.
But this one, would you say, like the most complex, in depth?
Yeah, the other ones didn't have these puzzles. This is definitely like call it Resident Evil-ish in that regard, but
I hate that comparison.
But like I said, it's also got it's got traditional war stuff where there's a kick-ass one where you're in a helicopter. Once you get like this helicopter upgrade to go liberate these camps, it becomes so much easier, and you're like, anytime you're in the helicopter, they're blasting a Ministry song super loud. It's really great.
Which Ministry song?
New World Order.
Oh no shit. Oh,
New World Order, New World Order. It's like just blowing the shit up.
Dude, that's awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
If Ministry's in this game, I can't.
Just, if you hate the puzzles, just go to your guy and get the codes and the combos and all that crap. You're still gonna have to do some stealth stuff and pick some locks and crap, but the lock picking is easy.
It's like where you kind of like feel the vibration of the sticks. Yeah. I think I went through one of those, like even in the first level of which is like all I played so far. Okay, this my plan tomorrow. I'm gonna I'll probably get up early as I usually do. I'm gonna go through my daily challenges in both X Defiant and Call of Duty, and then I'm going to shoot. I'm going to be half an hour, very least, of campaign, and I'm going to do that, and I'll probably just cut off.
Do it for Adler.
Do it for Adler, bro.
Do it for Adler.
Oh, you're so right.
He gets it. He gets in there. Once you find him and liberate him, then he's part of your team. You get a lot of Adler.
Man is a fictional living god.
Yeah, his face is all scarred up and rugged looking. You know, this is the way you want your Adler.
God damn it, it's awesome. All right.
When he throws on his sunglasses, that's when everything is
okay.
okay.
I remember because
things aren't okay.
They show that one scene. They're like, Adler, you ready to go? And he's like, 1 second. He puts on his sunglasses, like, now I am.
Right. That's it. That's it. That's it. That's the liberation line. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I'll get there. I will.
I only got about 20 minutes tonight because
Oh
I'm
my God, I'm
downstairs
sorry.
a little bit. No, it's fine. It's all good. You know.
They got this new playlist. It's a new map called Stakeout. It's a super small map. It's basically for like gunfight or like small modes, and they have it in like 6v6. It's a bit much. I'm gonna be honest. If you want to jump in just to kind of check it out, that's cool. But like, you can basically shoot from like A to C on domination, and like, it's super. It's stupid small, almost too small. But
yeah, but let's do it. I got a assault rifle, so yeah, I'm good with that.
I gotta get one more impact grenade kill, then I'm done with my challenges. But yeah, let's see how this goes. I think I've only played like a match and a half. I think I quit halfway through my second match on this map because it was just like just you know, spawn die
yeah.
kind of situation.
Okay.
You know?
Let's do one.
Yeah, let's fill it out. Maybe we can get a good match in. Face off kill confirmed. Oh yeah, face off is 6v6 on the no kill streaks. How's your day?
Pretty good. Yeah. Just, cool. Yeah, gym, walk the dog.
Dude, wish I was
a little bit of cleanup in the yard.
I would murder everyone in my neighborhood if I could be. I'm just kidding. I know I wouldn't do that. But I can already predict my retirement. I mean, if I play a lot of Call of Duty now, I'm not gonna stop. Like, I'll be playing Call of Duty until like I physically can't play. My hands are fucked, or my eyes are fucked, or like I'm just like
face off shoulder. Eliminate the HBT.
Or dementia.
Whoa.
Yeah, this map is
HBT is taking fire. Keep the package safe. Our HBT has been eliminated.
This map feels smaller than my own apartment.
Located. Eyes up. You're the HBT.
The HBT. What does that mean? High value target.
Do the high value target.
Not really anywhere to go.
Ah, shit.
Enemy HBT on site.
Hiding.
HBT on site. Keep them safe.
Oh, damn it.
I feel this map is like one room.
HBT under fire.
Yeah, right?
Like, just
yeah, it's literally like a small apartment.
Hostile HBT located.
Finished.
Protect our HBT. HBT is taking fire. Keep the package safe. Our HBT has been eliminated. We took out their HBT. Friendly HBT on site. Keep them safe. Hostile HBT located. Repeat, HVT under fire. HVT is down.
I was a pretty good fan of face-off
Enemy
mode.
HVT on site. Take them out.
I like those maps, like the Kremlin map.
We took out their
The
HVT.
subway map, do you remember that one?
They got our HVT.
Yeah, I think so.
Those were like, I mean, they weren't, they were small, but not as small as this. And they were intense games, but it felt pretty good. This
What goes around? HVT is down. Hostile HVT located.
I've never
Falling
considered
behind
it, like, I ever considered a Call of Duty small. Like the first time ever.
Up yours.
Like, there is no long shots.
We took out their HVT.
No.
HVT is taking fire.
Every corner you turn, there's like another wall.
Enemy HVT on site. Take them out. Our HVT has been eliminated.
Pull your head out of your ass. Check your
Protect our
fucking target.
HVT.
I am the HVT, yes.
HVT under fire. Hostile
H6.
HVT located.
Hang out outside. Nice out here.
Very sunny.
Got any fucking idea who you're dealing with?
We took out
It's
their
high. What the fuck, right? That's the point. This is the best hiding place I can get, right here. Oh, he found me.
Impact going out.
I think I lasted a while though.
Faction teams are lost survivors.
Team top
Solid job,
5.
Cregan.
No, didn't quite make it though. Ramen noodles was number 1.
Of course. Oh, using a melee. Actually, that's probably the smartest weapon you use on this map.
Yeah. Yeah, true.
I just unlocked the baseball bat.
That's 5.
Do you want to do this map one more time, or you want to jump into another one?
We can go to a different map. That's fine.
Oh wait. Wait, no, never.
Hey, oh, yeah.
That was my voice. I thought that my name was next to second place. I was like, wait, I was not second place.
I was looking at that too. Yeah, I saw that too. I was like, oh, how'd you end up in the top?
Let's jump on with the Norse. Oh, new season comes out next week. A lot of great stuff. Apparently, like throughout this season 1, they're gonna come out with 6 new maps, which is like pretty nice. That's hefty. And they're bringing back a map. It's called Hacienda. It was in Black Ops 4. Great map, really good map. In fact, like every map from Black Ops 4, in my opinion, even though I might have like kind of like a soft spot in my heart because that was the first one I played, you know. But like honestly, like when I go back to that game, the maps are fantastic, and they can bring back any map from that game. And the Hacienda map is it's a good map. I can vouch for it.
Is that next Wednesday or?
I think so, yeah. I don't know about the Hacienda map. That might be mid-season, but it's definitely coming this season sometime. There's a lot. I think there's like 6 guns coming too, and some melee weapons. They're really dumping a bunch of stuff, which is nice. I think Ace just put out a video about it today. Or everyone put out a video about it today, actually. Kind of like, oh my god, season 1's going to be awesome. It's the kind of general vibe. Anything going on this weekend? Anything special? Or is it Chill City?
I don't think so.
Hmm?
Do anything Back it.
Taking Bravo underway.
Oh.
I'm taking the objective.
Take it C. Capturing Blackout. Doing Charlie locked down. Losing Bravo. Bravo lost.
Objective capture in progress.
Jesus. I don't even have a single kill yet.
Move up, long guns.
I got 1 kill and 2
yeah.
deaths, so
Securing out.
it's all good.
I just whipped a frag grenade into the sea.
Oops.
Yeah. Threw it
Killed
right
some
over
fish.
the enemy's head into the sea. Yeah. Hey, here, catch. Oh god. I'm shooting at my own players too.
Take it Alpha.
Okay.
Charlie. Charlie secured. Losing Bravo.
Impact grenade drop.
See one
Taking
more
objective.
impact grenade. It's like I've won like 3 games without a single one.
Lock down A. We're losing Charlie. We're losing Alpha. Watchdog Hilo incoming on your location. Net call, napalm strike.
Slow down
Capture in progress.
Securing B.
Ooh, what was that? Oh shit. Yeah, there's a
Go copter.
proxy.
Enemy in the open.
Enemy watchdog Hilo over there.
Scrambler located.
Shit.
Contact. Watchdog Hilo.
I'm glad if the chopper gives you a warning before it starts murdering you.
It gives a little honk.
Yeah.
Honk honk. I'm gonna kill you.
Beep,
Honk
beep.
honk.
Hey there, see you. Beep beep. Beep lead. Beep, beep. And you notice the circular staircase on this map?
Yeah.
I mean, like, that's a trailer thing. They love circular staircases on their maps. I've never seen it in Infinity Ward or Sledgehammer. Oh no, wait, the Sledgehammer. Yeah. But there's like, I just remember in Black Ops 4, they had like on the Blackout map, they had like a tower. You just had like circular stairways going all the way to the top. It's like, oh man, they like
Scout pulse activated.
We're losing Alpha.
I see you over there getting close. I see the
Controlling Bravo. Losing A. Bravo.
Archangel ready for use.
What's up, team?
Lock down A.
Yeah.
We
got A.
Losing Alpha.
Yeah.
Bravo lost. Losing A. RCX deployed.
Scout's been smoked.
Swallow the window. Where are they? Where are they? Fuck. You ever planning on going back to John Slot as far as your gamer tag goes?
I haven't thought of it. No,
I would. That's like probably the best gamer tag I've ever seen. And if you do, if you're gonna abandon it, Sean Slot sounds pretty good too.
What sounds good?
Sean Slot.
Sean Slot. Yeah, there you go.
I will never take it if you were going to reclaim, because that's your name and that is an amazing gamer tag name. Probably one of the best ever seen.
Taking B.
Even though Stabby McStabberson is fantastic. Don't get me wrong. But John Slot's like beautiful.
Losing Bravo. Hostile scout pulse in your
Yeah, I don't know where that came from, but I know like John is hard to, probably Sean too. It doesn't rhyme with much. And like, you know, you do the kind of the way that.
Secure C.
Anyway, some rappers, the way they rhyme, you know, they don't rhyme right on it, but close
just,
enough.
Yeah,
that it works. You know.
On John. No, that's a proper rhyme. That's a proper rhyme.
On John. Yeah, I guess it is. Yeah, John on. Yeah. It's just such a short word that you don't even think of it as something to rhyme with. On.
Yeah, I was always a huge fan of John Slot. I dig your one you have now too, which is I've never said that like because I like the
Watchdog helo incoming on your location.
Like I said, Sean Slot sounds pretty good, but I would never take it if you, because I would be stealing it 1,000%.
I don't care. Go for it if you want.
I'm just joking. I'm kind of a fan of my Sergeant Hugo Stieglitz, my gamer tag. It's kind of a old reference at this point, but I like the idea of murdering Nazis.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Sleeper agent online.
Okay, so the even if you have sleeper agent on, which is the little upgrade that makes you look like an enemy, apparently the kill streaks will still target you. I put on my sleeper agent, but that chopper is still shooting at me. Kind of sucks. Muffy Mercury. It's a terrible name. Shame on you. Or Muffle Mercury. A bloody and it's good to sit. These kids these days, man, they just ran out of ideas. I don't like it.
Yeah. Gotta work on their creative.
Stop being lame. Yeah, I mean, maybe their kids would be cool, but man, they aren't. Gen Z is like the most uncool generation I've ever seen. Anywho, are you got time for another one, or it's getting a little late?
I think I'm gonna run actually.
Cool. No worries. Here, let me get us out of this library. Cool. What do you got going on tonight? You hanging out with you and Rachel? You know?
Yeah, we're just gonna probably watch some I don't know what. I got a list of stuff. We'll see. I don't know if we're on to anything right now. We've been watching this series about cult, a yoga cult of all things.
Interesting.
That's been kind of interesting. Yeah. Called Breath of Fire, but we're all caught up on that one, so we have to move on to some other thing. But yeah, we seem to watch a lot of shows about cults. I don't know why, but we like
Because
that.
cults are fucking interesting and weird and crazy.
Yeah.
The Internet Today guys, put out a video today about like what to expect from the Trump presidency. It's fucking horrifying. It was really hard to get through.
Oh God.
Just going over Project 2025 and Plan 47 and all that stuff, and the rounding of immigrants and the stripping of trans rights and stuff like that. It's horrifying. But anyway.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, we know the result of any kind of anti-immigrant stuff is going to be more anti-immigrant violence happening of all different kinds, and also just minorities, whatever.
It's going to be. I mean, it's going to it's going to bring about like a bigotry like never before seen in the United States, like since like the days of like the Japanese internment and all that. But like on top of that, just
yeah, this one guy, friend of my brother, said he was at Panera today, getting lunch, I assume, and he saw three old guys. He said he'd never seen anyone wearing a MAGA hat before today, and 3 old guys were wearing MAGA hats in the Panera and like gloating, is what he said.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah,
great.
Yeah.
So now the licenses have been handed out. Hey, it's okay to be racist. You are privileged and be proud of it. So here we go.
I hate the fact because like we're not in any position to fight back right now. The Democrats have like hung us all out to dry. They didn't have any, and like our only hope at this point is that like they are too inept, and or the shit that they're proposing is way too expensive. That's like our only hope, and that sucks. But at least it's like
anytime Trump is on the golf course, we should be like, awesome, dude.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
Play more golf.
Stay out of the White House.
Golf is great, dude.
But like,
I love it when you play golf.
But like,
I'm never gonna criticize him for playing golf.
But like, if if Steve Miller is in the White House while he's playing golf, I'm still not gonna feel that much better.
Yeah, true.
You know, so it's like we just.
Yeah, we're
gonna have to go some protests.
Not we personally aren't fucked, but like a lot of people that we know, and
we're getting pretty fucked.
You know,
and they want to strip union power too, and like that affects.
True,
me.
That's true.
So it's like I've got a lot of queer friends, man. Like if anyone even tries to hurt any of them, set their fucking parents on fire. Anyway.
Yeah, it's gonna be ugly. All right.
Nuts.
Well, I'll look for you tomorrow if you'll be around.
Oh, dude, I'm gonna be around all day. I'm not really. I don't have anything planned at all. I'm just kind of like planning on just chilling. It's the same shit for me. Like, I play video games and I say to myself, I'm gonna clean. Usually don't. That's pretty much like my weekend. So hit me up, man.
All right.
Nothing but love.
Sounds good, man.
Tell Rachel I said what's up and have a great night, okay?
Okay, we'll do. Have a good night.
YouTube after you doing? Hey guys, Nico here, and welcome back to a brand new video here on the channel. Today we're back here on XDefiant. I know it's been a minute. Literally haven't even touched this game since Black Ops 6 is released. But while I haven't been playing it, I have been keeping tabs on the game, and I follow the official like XDefiant page over on X there. So I do see whenever they post like, oh, the servers are going to be going down for maintenance. The servers are back up. Here's the patch notes, and I kind of like peek into them. I see what's all changed. Now there hasn't been nothing like super crazy when it comes to terms of content. It's mostly been just small fixes like the netcode and trading. Also just random little bugs and whatnot. They did add the smoke grenade though, which I feel for most modes won't really make a big difference, but in bomb I've heard some people say that certain maps it's kind of hard to like push across lanes. So I imagine now with the introduction of smoke, that's kind of become a lot easier. The only thing that I've really been loading up XFI for the past couple of weeks here is just to check out the shop. And I'm not trying to hate on the game, but the item shop still sucks ass. The item shop does not make me want to open my wallet. I mean, I like the anime bundle. I already own it, but
he ain't lying, man. The shop is dog shit. It sucks. I don't know. There's no excuse for it. Like, what's the deal? I mean, it's a free-to-play game. They should really be going over the top with the skins and the weapon skins and just everything in general. Like, it's got to be pretty silly and crazy and over the top for people just to drop some cash on. It can't just be like a slight variant of something you already got, or just something generic and weird. Like, why would anyone want to drop money on that? Like, it's got to be fucking weird and crazy, right? No one wants to fucking spend cash on basic bullshit. Can you dig it?
I like it. I don't even think the skin's crazy or anything. It's just, you know, it's got a cute little anime girl on it. It makes the gun look kawaii. All right, that's cringe. I just gave myself shivers. I'm not going to do that again. I'm sorry. Something else that I think's new is the quick play option. I don't remember this being in the game, but maybe it was. I feel like it wasn't. I think I would have remembered it. But regardless, we'll go ahead. We'll just hop in. Queue just for like the basic modes here. I've heard some people say that queue times have taken a little bit longer, so hopefully branching across the 3 game modes will get me into a game quick. I do also just want to quickly say that I'm going to be doing a 10K Q&A coming up here. So if you guys got any questions, be it silly, serious, drop them down below with hashtag 10K Q&A. I've already gotten a lot of questions, so like I said, it could literally be anything. I've had people literally asking about like Diddy parties, and yeah, I don't know, the Q&A might be a little bit of a shit show. Bro, that's how my streak's gonna end. One thing that I've seen a lot of people say that's gotten better in the game is the netcode. I don't know, maybe it's because I'm used to Black Ops and obviously Call of Duty. I mean, it's been around a long time. They kind of got their netcode down. The netcode in this game, it's still noticeably bad. Like, it's not the worst thing I've ever experienced, but the best way I can explain it is it feels like I'm shooting a Nerf ball. It's like the foam little soft bullets they have as a kid, you can like physically see it travel through the air. So whenever you aim at something, there's that like slight delay between you pulling the trigger and it actually finally hitting the target. That's how it feels like in this game. It feels like everything's
Isn't that sprint to fire?
So, like, I'm hitting the targets, but there's just
no, I know what you mean.
Delay. You probably can't even see it, but it's definitely something that you feel. Like, it's just there's a millisecond of a delay on every single shot, and it's definitely noticeable. Like, you just
it adds to the skill gap, in my opinion, man. It's not. It doesn't. In my opinion, it doesn't feel bad. I know what he's talking about, but it doesn't feel bad. I think it just adds to the skill gap. That's all.
That was my first trade. I remember trading was a real big issue with the last.
Still an issue, dude. Literally, like every other kill I get's a fucking trade. It's still an issue. I mean, at least from this fucking morning.
Update they added, or like a couple updates ago, but they released a little bit of a fix, and in like the last update or a couple updates ago, they released another additional fix. So it seems like trading should really be a rare occurrence, unless you're using something like a sniper or a shotgun. Pretty much anything that one taps. Nice. Bro, the only thing I'm dying to is shotguns. Shotgun. Bro. Dude, like, everybody's running around with a shotgun on their team. Shotgun. I mean, that wasn't a bad first game on. 90% of my deaths were just to shotguns, though. See, XDefiant needs to drop more skins like this. If they had more skins like this in the shop, I would actually buy them. I mean, granted, it probably takes more time and work to make a skin like this, but overall, I do still enjoy it.
It'd be worth it because they're making money.
Like old school, classic Call of Duty type of game in all the good and the bad ways. Oh, it makes a little bit of a bone effect. I've actually never even used the skin before. What's reloading sound like? Oh, dude, even the way the bones wiggle.
That's pretty sick.
Move, they definitely need to start upping their skin game. Although I can see this getting annoying if you're somebody who YYs a lot. I'm dying to shotguns even in this lobby, dude. But yeah, it really does feel like a classic COD in all the good and the bad ways. The way the maps are laid out, the way the gunplay is kind of snappy. It feels classic in that regard, but then it also feels classic in the sense of the response curves and the net detection, the hit code, the net code, the hit detection and the net code. Bro, okay, I'm not dealing with shotguns again. Ever since they buffed shotguns, XDefiant's literally just been shotguns. But outside of the already known issues that XDefiant has, you know, like the netcode, lack of content and things to do, the lack of progression, I think the game's still fairly solid. One of the main gripes that I just have, like, it's like a personal opinion type thing, a personal preference. I really hate how the response curves in this game feel. It's just like, no matter what I do into my settings, no matter what I tweak, what I change, the response curve in this game always feels kind of shit. You can get used to it if you play enough, but that's kind of what I was meaning when I say like the good and the bad of an old school COD. Like if you go back and you play Black Ops 2 on the 360, it doesn't feel good. The looking around and the movement, the dead zones, but it's something that you can get used to because I mean, everybody played Black Ops 2 on the 360 back in the day. I mean, unless you were a PlayStation kid, RIP. But I mean, like you were used to it back then. So it's something that you can definitely get used to. But if you hop from a game like Apex or Call of Duty that has a smooth response curve and it feels fluid, and then you come to XDefiant, it just feels more rough, jarring. I don't really know how to explain it. It just feels rougher. But it also captures a lot of the stuff that made those CODs feel good too. Obviously, the biggest thing that XDefiant's got going for it, and one of like the biggest selling points of the game, no skill-based matchmaking or engagement optimized matchmaking. Overall, I still think XDefiant's fun to play. It's just currently, like for me personally, Call of Duty's more fun. It's just the new shiny toy. I'm sure after like 4 months of playing COD, I'll probably get an itch to come back to XDefiant, especially because we'll probably be towards the end of season 3, maybe the start of season 4, which is when they're supposed to bring out more things to do in the game. Because while the netcode's the glaring issue, there's also just a real lack of progress and a lack of content and things to do in the game. And it kind of just makes playing every match feel meaningless. Like whether you win, lose, do good, bad, it don't matter. What was that? This might be the slowest TDM that I've ever played. There's literally just no action. Where's everybody? Something that I keep seeing people say when it comes to XDefiant here is that it's missed its window. It's had its opportunity to shine. They missed it. They released the game in like a not an okay state, and they fumbled the bag. They need to put the fries in the bag, move on. And I don't think that's necessarily true at all. I mean, at the end of the day, the game's free to play. I always think a free-to-play game has potential if they make a good free-to-play game. Not that XDefiant's not a good free-to-play game. I feel like I'm saying something and I'm having to backtrack a little bit. I'm not trying to offend anybody. I'm not trying to piss anybody off. It's my first trade of this game. Definitely doesn't seem like it's happening as often, but it's still happening. But really, I think like the biggest thing with XDefiant is just it plays a lot like Call of Duty. Whether or not you like to make that comparison, oh, XDefiant is its own game. It plays like Call of Duty. It's supposed to be like Call of Duty. It's targeting the Call of Duty fan base. It's just what it is. And the thing is I think when it comes to COD, it's just people have been playing Call of Duty for like 17 years. I saw a post the other day saying COD 4 has now turned 17 years old. So there's people out there who have been playing the same type of game for 17 years at this point. And I think they're just kind of bored of it. And the biggest target audience for XDefiant was the OG generation of COD players who missed the Black Ops 2, the World at War, the Modern Warfare 2, MW3. It was targeting like that niche of people, but it's like that niche of people I think are also just kind of getting bored on the genre. And unfortunately, XDefiant, while I do find it fun, it doesn't really do nothing a whole lot different from the games that we currently have within Call of Duty. I think if it wasn't for the fact that XDefiant didn't have SDMM, nobody would really be playing the game. And I'm not meaning that in a negative way. Dude, I hate the fact that everybody just uses shotguns in this game now too. It's so annoying. Everybody's like, oh, shotguns actually take skill. No, they don't. Shotguns are for bad players and I'll die on that hill. Shotguns are for shitters. Fuck! But yeah, I don't know. Overall, like, I'm keeping tabs on XDefiant. I'm not praying on its downfall or anything, but I'm not having fun on the game. That's like the most blunt way I can put it. Hopefully we start seeing like a turn, like an uptick after season 3 drops here in like 40 days or whatnot. Hopefully after season 3 drops, we get an uptick in players, the content's better, the game feels and plays better. If not, I just hop back over to Black Ops 6. I wait until season 4, and then hopefully XDefiant feels good by season 4, because if it doesn't feel good by season 4, then I don't know. I don't want to give up on the game, but there's a reason a lot of people have stopped playing. But anyways, let me know down below, are you guys still playing XDefiant? If you are you still enjoying XDefiant? Do you play XDefiant just because there's nothing else to play and you hate Call of Duty? Or are you playing XDefiant because you actually have a lot of fun playing the game still? With that being said, hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, make sure to drop a like, consider subscribing, and see you fudge later. Deuces.
Controlling Bravo. Locked down.
first started dating, they bonded over a love of animals. John was the one that brought it up first, but Tracy told him, oh my God, cats, dogs, hamsters, gerbils, give me all of it. I'm an animal person. And of course, that was just one aspect of it. But you know, when John and Tracy moved in together, he expected that they would have a happy, healthy home and a couple of pets. I mean, that was a conversation when they first started dating. And eventually they married and they moved in together. And things were okay, mostly. But at one point, John and Tracy decided that they wanted to move to Chicago. So John, being very busy with his job, he asked Tracy, hey, can you coordinate the transportation of the pets to Chicago? And Tracy's like, duh, of course, absolutely. But a few days later, she calls John with a very strange story. She says, hey, oh my God, this is terrible. The pet company was actually a scam, and they stole our pets. They came to pick them up, and they were supposed to send them to Chicago, but they didn't. They stole the pets. I can't believe this. This is horrible. I don't know where the pets are. Also, John, how much is your life insurance policy for? I think we should up it. Welcome back. It's another week. It's another semester. I'm your host, Bose. I'm here with you every Friday, unless I'm gone because I'm sick. That's right, everyone. I told you I was retired from being mentally ill a few months ago, and I was wrong. I'm back in the workforce. Also, if you're listening on Spotify, hello. If you're watching on YouTube, hello. My YouTube watchers, I want you to know sometimes when I'm filming, I turn my light out. I know it's like a little dark in here. I get very overstimulated by light sometimes, especially when the room is dark. So sometimes I'm like, dude, fuck this. I'm turning the lights out. So that's where we're at right now. If you're new here, I'm Bose. Sinister is a show about female killers. I also do some body cam videos. I have a podcast where I talk about non-true crime stuff. And we also do live streams on Mondays where we watch the court cases and various things. So if you are a true crime fan, there's lots to do here. Tracy Richter was born in Lincoln, 1966 to Bernard Richter Jr. and Anna Richter. Anna Richter is a very interesting character. We'll come back to her again. One thing that was really interesting is Tracy Richter's dad was a homicide detective. What an incredibly rare job. I mean, how often do you meet a homicide detective? And considering where we're going with this case, I just thought that was strange. But Tracy was an incredibly intelligent child. Now, I know in cases all the time we're like, oh, they were studious, or they were smart, or they were I really want to drill in here. Over the course of her life, I'm going to explain to you a few times where her intelligence comes up, but from a very young age, it was deeply ingrained in Tracy Richter. You are smart. You are bright. This will be your identity. This will be your ego. You will draw your ego and your power from being smart. Her mom later said, quote, at the time, she got one of the highest SAT scores, I'm pretty sure, in the whole United States. You will hear more things like this, but from a young age, Tracy is being praised by her mom for being so smart and also being compared to other children about how smart she is. I just really want to emphasize, like, she is going to begin to draw her ego from her intellect. And if somebody challenges her intelligence or if somebody is smarter than her, it's probably going to make her feel a certain type of way. And also, I mentioned before she went to this college prep school. It was called Mother Theodore Guerin College Preparatory School. In River Grove. It was an all-girls private Catholic school. So Tracy, in her high school age, is surrounded by all these other women and being told, you're the smartest, you're the brightest. Not only did you get the strongest SAT scores in this entire school, but you actually did it in the entire country, which, by the way, was that actually true? You know, they are just gassing this girl up. Tracy's intellect wasn't just like book smarts or academics. You know, sometimes I talk about how kids that can come from really tumultuous homes will really excel in school because it's the first time they have any structure and they like the structure, so they just get these just banger grades. Tracy wasn't getting like the craziest grades. I mean, she actually did go to a college prep school while she was still in high school, but she was doing okay. It was that she was that type of like street smart person. She was charming, she was intellectual. You knew you were talking to a bright girl. Y'all already know who my favorite sponsor is. It's Zocdoc. Okay, I'm not getting any younger. And neither are you. Listen, it's time for us to check in and care about our health. Our bodies are fragile, and you know what? So is my mind, which means I hate sitting on the phone trying to get an appointment. You know, whether you're going to a new doctor or whether you need an appointment in the next couple of days because something serious is happening, or maybe you need a prescription refill, it is so annoying that the system hasn't changed for years, right? It's go online, go through your insurance, find somebody that takes your insurance, call them up. Hey, do you have any appointments? Hold on, let me put you on hold. Did they even answer the phone? God only knows. But listen, on Zocdoc, all you have to do is, I mean, like, it's actually great. All you have to do is go to the website or go to the app, put in your zip code, put in your insurance, put in what type of treatment you're looking for, and then boom, a huge list of 5-star doctors all in your area are listed right in front of you. And hold on, that's not the best part. It also lists all of their availability and times right below. So you can see all of their reviews, their address, the insurance they take, and also their next available appointment, which could be in 48 or 72 hours, and you can book it right there. It's crazy. Guys, Zocdoc is changing the game. And guess what? It's free. I found my new dermatologist through Zocdoc. I found my new primary care physician through Zocdoc. Man, I'm about to schedule a dentist appointment through Zocdoc. I don't stop. I advocate super hard for this app because I have gone to more doctor's appointments in the past year than I have probably in the last 10 because they make it so easy. Stop putting out doctor's appointments or looking for a new primary care physician. Just go to Zocdoc.com/sinister. And look, I told you, it's free, but help us out and let them know where you came from. Go to Zocdoc.com/sinister. And in the very least, check out how easy it is to book an appointment. And then when Tracy grows up, honestly, I could only describe this woman as tall, dark, and handsome. She's got, like, I mean, she kind of takes on, you guys know that trend on TikTok that's like the office siren look? That's what Tracy looks like. She's got this like long, wavy, kind of like luscious hair she kind of plays with. She wears these little tiny glasses. She's always looking at you like she's wearing a mini skirt. Like, that is Tracy's energy. Do I want to call her murderer Vixen? No, but she was putting on Vixen energy. Like, if she picked a Tumblr aesthetic, hers would be office siren. Hers would be Vixen. This is who she thought she was. Like, to guys, Tracy's hot. Okay? Once again, I always like to remind you guys, I'm just here to say.
You ain't lying, though. I let her murder me.
At the scene, okay? When guys met Tracy, they were like, oh, I need a piece of that. I gotta find out what is up with that because that is weird, complicated, strange, and rare, and I want that. And Tracy knew this. She knew it. I mean, she was really milking this look for all she could. We have aesthetically hot, and then we also have smart. Smash them together. She's in college now for radiology. You know, I've gone through a lot of sinister cases before, and I can honestly say Tracy probably looks the best on paper. And I point this out because I say all the time, guys, if I was super pretty, super smart, super rich, married.
Whoa. Boz, if you don't think you're super pretty and super smart, maybe you ain't smart, but you're still pretty. Super pretty. Beyond that. Boz, you're probably one of the most beautiful people on the internet. You know. Say that with no thirst. I don't like the fact that most people, that you can't really, like, tell something that they're smoking hot, but in just a nice way. Not in a way that's like, oh, and by the way, to have intercourse with you. Like, oh, no, wait. Some things are sexier without sex. Dig?
Sniper eliminated. Move.
Sniper down.
Like, probably, I mean, 100% of the people right now, like, I would never expect to have actual sex with. I just appreciate them. And, like, I just, you know, appreciate the happiness that they bring to the world. Oz, I love you.
Harry did some hot kai, doing well, happy kids, happy home, happy life. I would just shut the hell up. I would just shut up and stay at home and, I don't know, not kill anybody. So it's just always very shocking to me when some people are so set up and they are entitled to more in life. Anyways, so she's at Northwestern University in Chicago, and this is when she meets her future husband, John Pittman, soon to be Dr. John Pittman. John was a fourth-year medical student, and he was instantly attracted to Tracy.
Even in that
wedding, she had an ability to read people that I hadn't really ever encountered before. She also had a way of knowing what you wanted to hear or was very interested in. At times, she seemed almost too perfect, and she has a very high IQ of about 145 or 150. She's very bright, very perceptive. First of all, John, is this not a red flag? Quote, she had the ability to read people. She had a way of knowing what you wanted. She seemed almost too perfect. And she had a very high IQ of 145 to 150. I mean, John, did you test that? Probably not. Tracy probably told him that. I just also want to point out the caliber of person that goes on some early dates and says, well, I have an IQ of 145. And if you're like, Bose, why did you just do that accent? Girl, just wait, okay? Just wait. But yeah, she was out here on these dates like, yes, I did all these SAT scores. And John was like, wow. Like he's getting hit with every Cupid arrow. And look, she was laying it on thick. She was a rare, smart, beautiful woman. He was all in. They married in 1987. And get this. Tracy was only 19 years old. And then in 1989, they decide to move to Colorado. Remember, John likes nature, he likes animals, and Tracy's like, oh yeah, me too. So they decide to give Colorado a try. But at this point, John is in his residency, and man is working hard. He is working 120-hour weeks. Now, those are medical shifts, so they're kind of like long stretches of time, and then he gets some longer periods of time off. Maybe. Actually, I don't know how the doctor's schedule works out. I mean, I know my friends are nurses. They don't have no time off. Y'all got 48-hour shifts and then 12-hour days off. It's crazy. But John had to be at the hospital 120 hours a week. Remember, Tracy is young. She is freshly 21 by this point. Also, reminder, I am not gassing Tracy up here. I am not a Tracy fan. I am setting the scene and letting you know what the vibe is. Because if I sit here and just rag on her the whole time when I'm telling the beginning part of the story, it won't make any sense. And the reality is, John Pittman had married a 21-year-old, newly 21, can drink now, hot, smart girl who was at home and not working. She is smart, she wants attention from men, and she's not doing anything at home. While John is at the hospital, Tracy is not sitting there with her hands in her lap just waiting for him to come home. She's gonna look for something that makes her feel alive. Because I can guarantee you, the rush of dating a doctor right after you get out of college and she's locked one down, then turns into the reality of sitting at home by yourself several days a week alone. She starts picking fights with John nonstop. I'm gonna insert a little of my opinion here. Take this with a grain of salt, but when I look back at Tracy's past and I see that she was often intellectually compared to other women and told, because she went to an all-girls prep school, she was told she was the smartest girl in the school, the highest SAT scores, you're the smartest woman here. Well, She draws her ego from her intellect, and now her husband is a man that's a doctor, and he's working really hard and making all this money, so he must be smart. And so for Tracy, this might present as a challenge to her intellect. Her husband might be a threat to what she thinks about her intelligence, because why is he the working doctor that's working so hard and she's just at home? In my opinion, I think that Tracy mentally began to compete with her husband because now this is a man that is smarter than her, and if she can be better than him, then whatever, right? That's how our silly, goofy children's brains work sometimes. Like, things don't make sense. So to support my theory, not saying it's entirely right, I give you guys bits of information, I sprinkle in a little of what I think, but the whole point of this show is I want to know why people did it and what traits to look out for in circles of people that you know, okay? That's why I do this. So Tracy starts to pick fights with John all the time. And also, she starts to spend all of his money. I mean, she is running up the credit cards. I don't think that Tracy was just running up the credit cards because she liked a lavish life. Like, I mean, she did like status. She did like prestige. I think that she was mad at John because he was doing well, and I think that it intimidated her, and I think she just wanted to spend his money. She also started having violent outbursts. It's also interesting because Tracy did not really have any type of documented history of violence. Now, of course, we all roll our eyes in a courtroom when some attorney says some 15-year-old has no history of violence and they shouldn't be charged. But Tracy didn't really even have any history of striking people or, you know, getting physically out of control. It's almost as though her anger escalated into violence instead of it being some kind of echo from her past or learned behavior. So she's going from picking fights to putting them in extreme debt to having violent outbursts to now hitting John. When somebody's escalating like this and showing patterns of behavior that they've never had before, it has to be terrifying because it's like, where is this going? Well, guess where it's going? One day, Tracy starts waving a gun in John's face. Not pointing it directly at him, but almost taunting him with it. And this is when John's like, okay, this has gone too far. I need to leave. As soon as John starts getting cold feet, Tracy panics because even though she's treating him like crap, like he's the source of everything in her life. The money, the stimulation, she's complaining about stuff every single day and he has to answer to it. Like, she doesn't want him to go. And so she's, John, wait, no, don't go, don't. Let's work things out. Let's go back to Chicago. So she convinces John that they should go back to their old college town, leave Colorado, get away from the hospital he's at, go back home, start over. And John thinks this is a good idea. I mean, look, sometimes you do need a new beginning in a relationship, and this would kind of get them a little bit closer to their origins, and he thought that maybe they could have a clean slate. So they decide to move back to Chicago and work things out. How can you even market your business in 2024 without a website? I mean, seriously, the first thing I do when I hear of a new company or brand is I Google it. So you know what that means? You're not only going to need a website, but you're also going to need a little bit of SEO optimization. That's search engine optimization. That's how people find your website. And guess what? Squarespace has it all. Squarespace is an all-in-one platform for entrepreneurs or artists or whoever wants to share their work or business to get started on. It's super, super simple, and you can have a website up within minutes. I mean it because I've done it myself before. It's actually crazy. You would think starting a web page is difficult, you know, all the coding and the aesthetics and, you know, filling out all the text. I mean, there's so many blocks of text and images and da-da-da. It can be really overwhelming. Well, what I like about Squarespace is it takes everything step by step. So maybe you want to start a business, but you're overwhelmed by building the website or you don't know where to start. Well, start with Squarespace. If anything, it is just so fun actually designing a website. I'm somebody that has no aesthetic awareness and no spatial awareness. Hey, listen, guys, at all times, I have no idea what's going on, okay? And I had so much fun building out the website. They give you these beautiful like pre-made templates and they are so easy to customize. It's click, change, click, change, click, change. There's suggestions. I mean, there's everything that you need. I think what I like the most about it is not only is it easy, not only is it affordable, but it takes the stress out of building something that you may not know how to do. And look, if you already need a website, we'll make it just a little bit sweeter and you can get 10% off of your website sign up or domain if you use my code. That's squarespace.com/sinister. Look, if you need an annual registration for a domain, 10% ain't nothing to scoff at. Make sure you use the code. It's squarespace.com/sinister. So one of the first things that John asks Tracy to do when they're moving across the country is to take care of the pets. Remember, I said he's working long hours, long weeks, and he just needs her to organize the transportation of the animals back to Chicago. They're coming all the way from Colorado, so they're not driving, they're gonna fly, and they need to get the pets over there. And Tracy's like, okay, got it. So she gets the service set up and they pick up the animals. Supposedly, John's at work. Tracy can tell John anything and he's not home to see anything. But according to Tracy, they came and they picked up the pets. The next day, she calls him. And what's interesting is John said that her explanation for such a tragic situation was very short and just kind of on to the next item on the list, right? She called him and she said, John, oh my goodness, the pet company that I hired was a scam. I can't believe it. This is awful. They've taken our pets. And John is like, what? And Tracy's like, yes, they kidnapped our pets. John is like, well, you know, did you call the police? And she said, they're gone. The pets are gone. I don't know what's happened. Like, yes, this is Tracy's story. She said that this animal company that was supposed to ship the pets kidnapped the pets, and now she can't get a hold of them. To me, this doesn't really make any sense. These were not particularly rare animals. They were house animals that John Pittman really loved and Tracy never paid any attention to. There was no reason why this company would steal these animals and then just go rogue. Like, it doesn't make any sense at all. And John knows this. But then on the same exact call, Tracy talks to John and she kind of tries to roll it under the guise of them like setting up their new life in Chicago. She asked him how much his life insurance policy was for. Like, she was saying that they should increase his life insurance. And look, this man is a doctor that works at the hospital. His life insurance is already pretty good. And then also, if he's spending 120 hours a week at the hospital, if something happened to him, most likely he's already gonna be at the hospital. So that's the life insurance plan right there. I don't know why we need to take out a $5 million policy on him. And John thought the same thing. He thought that this entire phone call was weird. So right after this, he decides to hire a private investigator.
Sorry, I'm sending messages to Jordan Black unsolicited. And I hope they don't mind. But if they didn't mind, I would understand. Who the fuck am I? But just so you know, Jordan Black is probably the most excellent human being on the planet. If you don't know that, I feel bad for you. You should go subscribe to Dead Domain. If you're not subscribed to Dead Domain, like, what are you even doing in your life? Forget about it. You obviously have no taste. The second you subscribe to Dead Domain, your taste will accelerate and elevate to levels like new ones, like never seen before. Thank you. Love you.
So when John hires this private investigator, they want to get the lay of the land. And he starts asking John some questions like, how'd you guys meet? What was your relationship like? What has the past year been like? And what made you call me today? And the PI tells him almost immediately, there's something not quite right with someone who carelessly gets rid of family pets. John, in his head, he's like almost projecting what he would or wouldn't do unto Tracy, and he can't even fathom that she's lying about this, that she would do something about it. And to the PI, he's like, oh, fuck this bitch. Like, she got rid of those pets, and something's not right about that. And then John keeps talking, and he mentions the rest of the phone call and the life insurance. And the PI's like, whoa, 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 whoa. And he's like, what? And the PI said, tell me more about the life insurance. John tells him, and he even tells the PI, he didn't understand why at the time, or, you know, why would she ask this? And the guy looks at John and he tells him, you really need to hire somebody because your life is in danger. John takes him seriously. I mean, he called the PI for a reason, and off he goes to trail Tracy Richter. Right away, he finds out Tracy's spending time with other men. A lot of time with other men. John is on overnight shifts. She can pretend to be single. She can go to anybody's house. She can invite people over to her, and the husband is not home. He even said that some days she would spend time with multiple men in one day. And the PI also told John Pittman that these types of guys didn't seem like anyone John Pittman would want to get tangled up with. They were real seedy guys. So Tracy's living her double life. She's got her successful doctor husband. Well, she's got her little tiny glasses on, and she's, oh. And then on the other side, she's hanging out with these like seedy drug dealer guys, like hooking up, cheating on her husband. She just went full double life because she was bored. Now, the PI is probably reporting some of these things to John, but he still has to kind of act like everything's normal with Tracy. I mean, it is. They still live together. He also is kind of trying to see, should I trust this person? Should I move back to Chicago with them? Well, one day, Tracy gives him a call, and she's like, hey, John, I need you. Can you meet me at the apartment? And he's like, is it important? She says, yes, it's very important. And so he's like, okay, I'll be there. Right after he gets off of the phone with Tracy, he then gets a call from the private investigator. And he says, did you just get off the phone with Tracy? And he was like, yeah, she wants me to go to the apartment. The PI said, okay, well, I'm trailing Tracy right now, and your apartment is to the east, and I'm watching Tracy go west right now. Do not go to that apartment because Tracy is not going to be there. They hang up the phone. A few minutes later, Tracy calls John again, and he answers. And she said, where are you? I'm waiting for you. Are you coming to the apartment? John did not go to the apartment that day. And in 1992, he decided to leave Tracy for good, as he should. Tracy tried to reconcile with John Pittman to no avail. She had done it once before, and this time, all of her requests were falling on deaf ears. John was not interested in reconciling, but now, after several years of marriage, they finally had a child, and John wanted to see his son. Now, this was in 92, and it is a full-on divorce and custody battle that rages on for several years. The divorce was finalized in 1996, but the custody battle was not going away anytime soon. During all of this, Tracy needs her attention. And of course, she's got her seedy dudes that she's hanging out with, hooking up with, doing whatever on the side. But now that John Pittman is out of the picture, she needs her trophy husband. She needs her double life. She needs her prestigious, educated, husband so that she can kind of play off of that because that's the identity that she likes. When her divorce gets settled, she meets a man online on a Christian dating site. He's an Australian entrepreneur named Michael Roberts. And one of the first things that she told Michael, literally like, this is why I said I know Tracy be talking about her intelligence. She actually said this to him. She said, well, I used to be a model, so you won't be disappointed. Bitch, on a Christian dating site, okay? Stuff like that. Like, that was an actual message she sent. This is why I could see her sitting at dinner with John Pittman being like, oh, my IQ is 155 last I checked. But back to Michael. So Michael was a computer security expert. He was good looking, you know, he had the blue eyes, he was confident, he was well off with the accent. Oh, everything Tracy loves. And Michael also fell for Tracy Richter's charm. I mean, if she wanted to turn it on, she really could. He literally described her as beautiful, articulate, and engaging. People said that they were a striking couple. Once again, another thing I think Tracy really liked, the prestige. And they had a quick romance. So much so that they got married 18 days after they met.
Marksman smoke.
Yep, the divorce was finalized in '96. She gets on the dating website, flies out to meet Michael, and they are married, not just engaged, within 18 days. After that, Michael is so sprung that he moves out to Chicago to be with Tracy and her kids. And also using his passion, his money,
You know, I don't know if this is just me or not, but I'm pretty sure that a lot of heteros
Hostiles have captured the hard point.
It was pretty hot.
Hard point locked down.
Hook up with like
Hard point identified.
full person.
Hostiles have the hard point. Hard point is secure.
Almost perfect.
Enemy is down. Commence care
You
package
know what? I
delivery.
mean, it's crazy. I'm not really sure how to feel about it. Pretty steamy.
Syntax. Sniper hug dirt.
his confidence. He is protecting his beautiful wife, Tracy Richter, from her evil ex, Dr. John Pittman. Tracy said that Dr. John Pittman has gone on a harassment campaign against her. He has done all these horrible things, tried to pick her child, and on top of that, she says he's a pedophile. Michael is so in shock that his poor, smart, engaging, funny, charming, witty, beautiful wife has gone through all of this with this evil ex-husband, and he vows to do anything and everything he can to make sure Dr. John Pittman never, ever hurts Tracy Richter again. Now, of course, none of this was true. It was not true. In fact, her depiction of John made Michael come right up beside Tracy and choose to fight this battle with her. Later, when it was revealed to him that Dr. John Pittman was not the monster that Tracy claimed, he actually said, quote, "She said he was a narcissist and only cared about money, power, and prestige. I believed her, and I adopted the battle as my own, using my time, my emotions, my money, and my resources. I put a hedge around my family to protect them from this monster, Dr. Pittman." The custody battle was contentious, and with this newfound source of money and confidence from her new husband, Tracy dug her nails in a little bit deeper. One day, John came out of the hospital, and there was a poster on the wall, and it was of him, and it said pedophile. That's right. Tracy had gone around the hospital where he worked and put these posters up saying that he was a pedophile. Of course, John knows exactly who is responsible for these posters, but unfortunately, the hundreds of people going in and out of the hospital every day don't. So anyone that caught a glimpse of this poster felt like John had something to answer to, which is just really upsetting and terrifying, considering he had a good job, he worked around elderly people, kids, whatever, and also Tracy was claiming that he molested his own 3-year-old child. I mean, it's a horrible accusation, and it's hard to disprove something that never happened in the first place. So John has no choice but to kind of keep his head down and hope that they can resolve this legally. But then, in December of 2001, something strange happens. Now, I'm going to tell you what happened December 13th, 2001, through Tracy's perspective. On the night of December 13th, 2001, 2 intruders broke into Tracy Richter's house when she was with her children. Michael, her husband, was away on business, and they broke in around 7 o'clock. At the time, Tracy had been giving her daughter Mason a bath, and she heard 2 people downstairs. And immediately she knows, well, my husband is not here. My husband is out of town, so she grabs her kids and goes in the room. Tracy is able to shuffle her kids into the room, almost heroically. But then there's a moment where one of them grabs her and pulls her back. Now, her kids, by Tracy's account, are fairly safe. She has secured them safe. But now, the intruders had a hold of her. Tracy said the intruders pulled her down the stairs, and when they got her to the bottom, they started to choke her until she lost consciousness. And then, when she regained consciousness, she went and got her gun, and she shot one of the intruders several times. The other one was so scared that he ran off. After the second man fled, Tracy went upstairs to make sure that her children, who she had saved, were all right. She gathered them. And then she came back downstairs to see the guy is still moving. She tells her son Bert to call 911. And then she shoots him a few more times just to make sure that he's dead. This town that they moved to was home to less than 1,000 people. It was very tiny. They also lived in a lavish house. It was a 2-story colonial blue house, 2,800 square feet, 5 bedrooms. It was Victorian style with a little sunroom, floor-to-ceiling windows, and it had views of this like wildlife preserve. Now, I'm giving all these details so you know this is a small town. These police have probably never really dealt with a murder investigation before. This is a thing that happens in some counties where if there's nobody being murdered, then the police don't get any training on how to properly investigate something. They don't know how. Not only is this a police department that probably should be calling another larger precinct, but Tracy and her husband lived in one of the most beautiful homes that the entire city had to offer. These must be upstanding citizens. So the police kind of go in with some preconceived notions about who Tracy might be, and then she shows up confident, smart, intellectual, and now a hero. She just shot 2 intruders. Well, here's where things start to get odd. When the police get there, they find out that the intruder that Tracy has shot is her neighbor. It's a guy named Dustin. Dustin was a 20-year-old boy that lived next door. Now, yes, he is 20, but this guy, they said that he was very socially underdeveloped. Like I said, it was a small town, but Dustin was somebody who was undiagnosed and not helped from A to Z. Not only did he have some type of like learning or social disability that wasn't diagnosed because nobody was helping him, he also had a lot of mental health issues because he had some behavioral problems, which might have been tied to the other disability. And he also had some substance abuse issues because people thought he was trying to numb something out. But Dustin didn't really get any help. He was kind of just on his own. He didn't have any friends, really, but he liked paintball, video games, music, kind of just the regular stuff. Now, Michael, Tracy's husband, who lived next door, he felt really bad for Dustin, and he actually even tried to kind of take him under his wing. And this is strange, too. Dustin's mom, a lady named Mona, she was very close to Tracy and Michael, very close to her neighbors, so much so that Mona had sold them their home in Iowa. Like, they were so close that they made an off-market house sale to each other. They knew each other very well. They were neighbors, saw each other every day. They're doing business deals together. Michael is hanging out with their son. Like, they're close. Why did he just break into Tracy's home? And why did Tracy shoot him? I mean, didn't she recognize Dustin? Of course she did. But that's not how she's retelling the story. As she's telling the officers this story, it's that Dustin is just an intruder. So Mona is very shocked by her version of events. Michael is confused, but, you know, the bottom line is, right now, Tracy is a hero because in everyone's eyes, she has just saved her children from this neighborhood maniac, and who knows what he could have wanted. They used Dustin's disability to make him a little more mysterious and capable of anything, when in reality, this situation just didn't add up from the beginning. Another thing is, while the police are talking to Tracy, she's not talking about Dustin. She's not emotionally distressed. She's not talking about the kids. She's actually talking about her ex-husband, John Pittman. And she's talking a lot about her ex-husband. The police are trying to get information about Dustin, but all Tracy keeps bringing up is, Dr. Pittman. She tells the police he was abusive, he was abusing her child, that they were in this custody battle that he just wouldn't give up. And the officer's just kind of wondering, why are you talking about your husband right now? I mean, guys, the signs were all there for everybody. Like, everybody knew the situation was weird, but it was hard to contest Tracy's story. Have you guys ever been in a situation before where somebody tells an insane story and you feel like they might not be telling the truth, but the story makes them a victim and you don't want to contest that, so you're just like, okay, like, if you say so. And so that's kind of the behavior that everybody close that had all the details had. They believed her. That means that they also believed that there was a second intruder. They even put out a bounty for $10,000 for anyone that gave information that led to the capturing of the second shooter. Also, don't forget, guys, we're in a small town. The police have to catch this person. Otherwise, everybody's going to be scared. But the case goes cold. They never find the extra intruder. Nothing happens to Tracy. It's all self-defense, and everyone moves on. Except for Tracy Richter, because this week, she's on the Montel Williams show. I cannot believe I'm saying that. Yes, Tracy actually was featured on a daytime television talk show as a heroic mother. Now, if you didn't grow up in, the 80s, 90s, 2000s, when these talk shows were very popular, like, Maury Povich or Steve Wilkos or Montel Williams. Usually the way this works is there's a moment in the show where they say, if you know somebody that owns a horse and hasn't taken them to the stable for over 10,000 days, call us. Like, they will give a prompt for the show that they're producing, like, baked into the show, because that's how they scout people. Tracy getting on the Montel Williams show means one of two things. It means, one, maybe a producer on the show saw an article about this heroic mom that killed an intruder that wanted to hurt her kids. Or two, it means there was some prompt that applied to Tracy's case and she submitted herself for the Montel Williams show. There's a lot of fascinating stories that circulate in the news all the time, but personally, I think that Tracy may have submitted herself to this. She does love the prestige, and when all of the press and popularity died off in her hometown, what better way than to continue to put yourself up on a pedestal than to apply to the daytime talk show? While Tracy is soaking all of this up, the police are investigating Michael. They are wondering if he might have something to do with the murder. Like I said, there were things at the scene that didn't really make sense, but they didn't push Tracy for some reason. They just started digging around other corners, and there was no doubt that Tracy murdered Dustin. No doubt at all. But the why didn't make sense. Now, while they were investigating Michael for this, some interesting things came up, actually. Bert, Tracy's son from her first marriage with Dr. Don Pittman, claimed that Michael had been physically abusive and broke his nose after not cleaning horse manure with his bare hands. And they also found out in December of 2000, just about 2 years before this all happened, Michael had been arrested that night after an argument with Tracy, and the police were called to the house. Now, this is all they found about Michael, but it was enough to really start asking him some questions and start pushing him to see if he was involved in Dustin's murder. And this is when Michael realizes that Tracy's telling the police that he's the angry one in the relationship, that he has all these emotional problems, that he's doing X, Y, and Z. But as the police are questioning Michael about his behaviors, he kind of starts to realize, like, no. These are Tracy's behaviors. Like, this is what Tracy does. And he starts to push back, and he denies that he's the angry one. He said, I'm not the angry one. Tracy's always the angry one. I'm the one that's always trying to calm her down. He even tells the investigators that their relationship had been on the rocks well before Dustin's death, unlike what Tracy said. She claimed that everything was fine right up until the murders. Now, the police also thought it was interesting that Bert, Tracy's son, only had one instance of violence or issues with Michael. He didn't have any other stories, so they suspect he might have actually been coaxed to tell this story to officers. At first, through it all, Michael really tried to stand with Tracy through everything. He really wanted to stand with his hero wife. Oh my God, she protected the kids, da 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 da. But in 2004, their issues caught up, and Michael decided, we gotta get a divorce. And just like that, Tracy's second marriage was going up in flames. And now Tracy is depressed, upset. Her wonderful husband, Michael, that she loved so much, has left her. She doesn't know what to do. And, you know, she just patiently... I'm just kidding. Do you know what Tracy did? She made a website called Deadbeat Dad, okay? It was called Deadbeat Dad, and it alleged that Michael, Tracy's ex-husband, now ex-husband, was actually the second intruder. This website claims that it was Dustin, the neighbor, and Michael, who was pretending to be away on business, that broke in and they tried to hurt Tracy. Bitch, this story is so fucking stupid. This is so stupid. At this point, I'm not buying that Tracy had 150 IQ. I'm putting that in the garbage because this is some of the stupidest shit that I've ever heard of in my entire life. She became a 2004 cyberbully. We were barely online, Tracy. She went from putting up slanderous posters in the hospital to, oh, we'll do one bigger. She was buying domains in 2004. The minute that Michael wises up to Tracy's antics, she tries to pin this whole thing on him. She tries to say that he was involved in some way, and he's a deadbeat dad. This is a lie that comes through the lens of somebody's grandiosity, and they see themselves as amazing, heroic, fantastic. And so this lie makes total sense to them. It doesn't make sense to anybody else. It's crazy. So much so that Mona, Dustin's grieving mother, is like really putting the pieces together, and she's like, wait, Dustin did not have a gun or a knife, and also on this day he was parked right outside of Tracy's house. Why would he park outside of somebody's house for a 7 p.m. home invasion? And while Tracy is basking in the glory of her being a hero and everyone is bad except her, Dustin's family is falling apart. After Dustin was killed by Tracy, Brett, his father, and Mona, his mom, got a divorce. After they divorced, Mona couldn't handle it, and she left with the kids, and Brett stayed in the house, and the letters that he wrote said that he cried every day. When a child dies, some couples don't recover. There are no words that I can say that could even remotely express what a family goes through when they lose a child. And here, in 2 weeks after Dustin's murder, Brett, who was alone all the time in the house, decided to go visit his son. You know, he visited him on the anniversary, and visited him for days after that. Dustin, even though he was buried, it was all Brett had, and he kept going back to his son's grave site. And eventually, on November 28, 2002, he wrapped his arms around his son's grave, and he put a gun to his head and he pulled the trigger. He couldn't take it anymore. He had lost everything. And Tracy is on the Montel show. Tracy, for reference, Tracy appeared on that show October 2002, and Brett killed himself November 2002. Tracy got airtime on national television for murdering Brett's child. In 2008, a man named Special Agent Trent was assigned to look at the case once again. And this guy wasn't drinking any of Tracy's bullshit. He noticed something immediately. Dustin was shot execution style in the back of the head. It didn't match up with Tracy's account, and it definitely didn't match up to self-defense. His skull had multiple bullet entry wounds, which means somebody shot him multiple times execution style before he flipped over and he was shot in front. Trent knows this is not self-defense. There's no way. And he's not going to let go of this until he finds out what actually happened. The first thing he does is interview Tracy. And, you know, Tracy doesn't strike me as the type of person that is always looking over her shoulder, wondering when the cops are are gonna come knocking. Sometimes people kill people and then that's what they do. I think Tracy's the type of person that really felt like she got away with it. So I cannot imagine her dismay when Special Agent Trent comes knocking. He brings her in to interrogate her and she plays it pretty cool. She doesn't give him many answers and she even says, "Oh, I was really loopy when they interviewed me then. I was loopy. I don't know. They gave me some guys loopy. I don't remember." And she's just giving him nothing, really. But he picks up a little bit on her demeanor. And listen, when you're an investigator, you know manipulative people when you see them. Shit, even y'all know manipulative people when you see them. And sometimes you walk up like a moth to the flame, don't you? Now, Trent's suspicions later get confirmed because he goes to interview poor Dr. John Pittman. I mean, he really escaped a monster. And then Michael, who is now divorced from Tracy and in a custody battle with her. Both of them described Tracy as angry, mean, and manipulative. Now, obviously, Tracy doesn't hear these interrogations directly, but now that Special Agent Trent is knocking on her door, she knows something's coming. So she applies for a new driver's license and tries to change her name. Are you ready for the name that Tracy Richter picked? She changed her name to Sophie Corinna Therese Baronin von Richterhausen Edwards. I'm sorry, let me just read that to you again. She changed her full name to Sophie Corinna Therese Baron von Richterhaus Edwards. What is this? England in the 1200s when everybody daddy got ownership over you with their last name? No, nobody has this many fucking names, Tracy. You know what? Your IQ just dropped to a 105. This is somebody that probably was very smart when they were younger, but now they've been smelling their own shit for so many years that they're dumb, okay? So Trent has been looking into the case for a while, but then also in 2011, a couple years later, the county gets a new prosecutor, and it's a guy named Ben Smith. And on his first day, Special Agent Trent, who could only get so far in the 3 years that he was working on the case, he comes into Ben's office to welcome him, say, nice to meet you, I'm Special Agent Trent. They chat a little, exchange some pleasantries, and on Trent's way out, he says, "By the way, I want to tell you about this one case." And he drops a little bit of information about Dustin's case. You and I both know that if somebody is actually shooting someone in self-defense, they are not shot execution style, right? We know that's crazy. Well, guess what? Ben Smith knew that was fucking insane. He immediately dives into the case. And one thing that he finds is there was a pink spiral notebook that had been recovered from Dustin's car. It never got brought up much during the investigation, for good reason. The detectives couldn't really understand why this notebook existed. Inside of the notebook, which had Dustin's handwriting, there was a strange tale. They weren't notes. It wasn't a journal entry. Dustin didn't really have any other journal entries. This was just a random dated story, and it said, quote, "A mysterious fellow had approached him to kill Tracy." I'm gonna repeat that one more time. A 20-year-old man who doesn't journal, has no other journals in his possession, had a pink spiral notebook in his car that had a story that was written in his handwriting, but weirdly in the same tone that Tracy speaks. And it's one of the only entries in there, and it says this man commissioned him to kill Tracy Richter. It sounds like a planted piece of evidence, right? But the other thing that's really important is they never told Tracy about this notebook. It was also never mentioned in the media. So this entry was written in Dustin's handwriting, but in a tone that Tracy talks, like referring to somebody as a, quote, strange fellow. And also, it had details about John Pittman that Dustin would not have known about. Remember, he was friends with the second husband, Michael, not the first husband, John Pittman. They knew the handwriting was Dustin's by comparing it to other things, and his mother even confirmed that was his handwriting, but the investigators never believed that this notebook was credible. So when Ben, the new prosecutor, looks into this, his immediate thought is, okay, Tracy made him write this with a gun to his head, execution style. And when he finished writing, she took the book and shot him. That's what Ben suspects, and he intends to prove it. Now Trent and the prosecutor Ben, they have an idea of the direction that they're going, and they reach back out to Tracy for more information. And what is just so insane here is when Tracy wrote back, she used the same exact language that supposedly Dustin did in that note. She referred to somebody as a strange fellow in her email, and then that was also in the notebook. So Trent actually picks up on this and thinks that it's so crazy. So that's already insane. But another thing that was written in this tale was JP's longtime attorney, Stephen Comey, was involved in setting up Tracy's murders and facilitating any murder for hire payments on John Pittman's behalf. This is an insane claim to make. So we're all on the same page that Tracy wrote this, right? She's trying to make poor 20-year-old Dustin the fall guy, and she's making him write all of these things implicating her ex-husband and other people that she doesn't like because she is so crazy that she thinks this is gonna work. Dude, drop the IQ another 10 points. Like, this is so dumb. One investigator actually said, would a high-powered attorney from Chicago like Stephen Comey look to hire a, quote, special needs kid like Dustin? I'm telling you what his exact quote was in the courtroom. Y'all know I'd be quoting stuff verbatim sometimes. But I mean, he's trying to make a point here that Dustin was just a kid that had struggles and problems, and in fact, he was very hard to find in this town of 600 people. So not only is this notebook absolutely ridiculous, but a woman named Mary Higgins comes up and says, well, I actually knew about that notebook. And they're like, what are you talking about? And she's like, oh, well, Tracy told me that it said this, and it said this, and it said this. And this is just a...
I wonder if it's even picking up how much I'm crying on stream. I don't think it is, but kind of nice. I like this setup. I got the light coming from over here, no light coming from over here, dark Black Ops face. I can pretty much have any face I want. I've basically been crying for like the last hour because you don't know, you can't see it, and it's kind of nice. Stream can continue with me crying for no reason really, and you wouldn't know unless I, like, you know, turned on the mic and told you like I'm doing. Just tell everyone what you want. I'm giving me up. Not true. These cats want treats. That's all they want ever. Got two cats, Rocky and Mo. Now you know. Life is fucking weird, y'all. Believe me, if you're like in your 20s and you're like doing a bunch of shit and you think you got figured out, just wait a couple more decades. You're like, what is happening? Why are we fucking here? What are we doing? Unless, like, you've already, like, fucked up your life and got married and had kids. Then you don't have time to fucking go into existential crisis about what life's all about because you're too busy fucking giving yourself over to people who don't appreciate it. Fucking spawn. You created out of pure ego. Not for, like, the benefit of the world. So you can be like, this is my kid. Me, my kid. Like my genetic continuation on this fucking rock. It's spinning 18,000 miles per hour. I think something. There's really nothing we do important except for like trying to like Earth alive. Because the Earth's like a living thing. If you consider living things like an amalgamation of a lot of different things that end up coalescing into one for benefit. You can, if you use that description as if you use that as a definition of life, then planet Earth is alive. 100%. And like, unless like we like look at it like that, like it's not like we're humans on the Earth. It's like, you know, the Earth is alive and we are part of that life. Our ecosystem is like part of that. We're like humans are looking at the world in the completely wrong way. Like they separate, like we want to separate ourselves from the Earth that's alive. Like it's just, no, we're alive. The Earth isn't alive. No, Earth's alive. We're part of that life. Us being the most advanced form of life on the Earth, it's our responsibility to maintain this life. And we have we're lucky enough to experience the lights of consciousness, the pleasures of humanity, abstract thought, deep ideas. That's our benefit, but I think we need to balance that with a responsibility towards, like in the most non-religious way possible. Like we're kind of like stewards of this planet based on our abilities. We're the only ones that like can affect the actual environment. No other species on the planet can like change the environment in any kind of drastic or damaging way. We've done it, or we're doing it right now. So if the Earth is a living thing, and like we're like an organ of the Earth at the end of the day, like if you look at the human body, it's just one thing. It's like it's a whole bunch of stuff going on in the human body, all the way down to the like cellular level. There's a function. There's like a role that everything plays, and humanity's role should be the stewards and protectors and our minds. The human mind needs to be not just the human mind; it needs to be the Earth's mind, and we should be acting in the Earth's interest, because it's kind of like, it's almost like if our brain was working against our body's interest, like telling us to do stuff that hurts ourselves. Like, I think it's humanity's responsibility to take care of the Earth, because we're the only ones that really can. We're the ones that, and it should be looked at as like, oh man, why should we do it? There's plenty of reasons. The benefits of entertainment, our ability to get things subjectively. These are ultimate gifts they're great enough gifts where we should be able to take on the responsibility of protecting, maintaining the earth for, in my belief, could be humanity and the earth like lined up, and we didn't look at like nature as like separate from us. Animals weren't like wild, and that they're just like part of us. We should look at all living things, you know, kindness. And don't get me wrong, I'm not talking about abortion. That's like when people talk about life and stuff. It seems to come up, but like that's a whole different subject, because it's like a woman's decision to, you know, control herself and determine her own future. You have a kid, your life is over, unless you're an asshole. Because like if you bring someone into this earth, like you have an obligation to basically just give them everything you got. They don't appreciate it. That's parenthood. Any other attempt or any other approach towards parenthood is a disaster. If a human thinks that they can continue their own personal lives and personal interests after they have a kid, they're going to be horrible parents automatically. It just doesn't. I mean, if you're going to be, if you're going to serve the purpose you're supposed to, biologically speaking, have a kid, you're already dead. Because that kid has the right, your children have the right to everything you have. And that's a situation that someone would create for themselves. It was a choice. I'm deciding to give up. I'm done with life. That's what to me parenthood is. People don't believe it, but it's like that's what it should be. Like, you're done. I am too old to continue, and out of pure pride, I want my genetics to keep going, because I'm a slave to my genetic. Selfish gene controls everything we do. That's one piece of love. Yes, I love you guys.
Such a red flag for investigators because they never told Tracy about the notebook. Nobody ever told Tracy about the pink notebook. However, Tracy knew about the pink notebook, told Mary about the pink notebook, and told Mary, oh, they're going to find this notebook with all of this crazy stuff in it that he was doing. But Trent and Ben had one big question. Why would she do this? What was the motive? If she meant to intentionally kill Dustin, why? Well, in 2011, they uncovered a potential motive. Now, this one had been there all along, but it kind of helped them make it make sense. They realized that on February 8th in 2001, just 10 months before Dustin's murder, John Pittman had filed for full custody of their child. He documented over 10 years of absolute horror with Tracy, from the physical abuse to the gun to putting the posters all over the hospital. There was a good chance that Tracy was going to lose all custody of her first child, Brent. And what better way to prove that you're fit for the job by proving you'll defend and protect your kids at all costs? This was enough to spin up an arrest warrant, and they found Tracy, now Sophie, in Omaha, Nebraska, running some small businesses and pretending to be a socialite from England. Yes, she had gone full fake English accent with her new fake name and was pretending to be rich and popular and amazing. Girl, how long did you think this was gonna last? Like, if any of us could just go to a new city and make up a name and pretend that we're like rich and famous, bitch, we would do that. Like, you are inevitably going to be caught. Somebody that drums up this type of lifestyle is willing to lie and lie and lie and lie and on to the next life, on to the next life. That's what she was gonna do. When they found her in Nebraska, she was running one of her businesses. She was cleaning houses, and she had multiple IDs on her with various names, and she kept a little notebook with several cops' names and addresses. How strange is that? In August of 2011, she was finally formally charged with the murder 10 years later at the age of 45. When the trial began, there was no question that Tracy Richter killed Dustin. The trial was to see if it was truly self-defense, if it was justified. The prosecution painted a very clear picture of Tracy Richter being in an intense custody battle, and she couldn't keep a job and nobody had anything nice to say about her, so she needed some type of advantage. A big one. So she had to concoct a story. The prosecution accused Tracy of wanting to frame John so that she could keep from losing her son and avoid losing $1,000 a month in child support payments. They believe and painted a very good picture of Tracy luring Dustin to her home, forcing him to write the note, and then killing him. Then, finally, on November 7th, 2011, a jury convicted Tracy Richter of first-degree murder. Later at the sentencing, she was given life in prison without the possibility of parole. Most people were very happy about the verdict. Michael, her second husband, said, "We pray for the health and welfare of not only my children, but for Dustin's family and Tracy's other victims." And then this guy named Joseph Lapisa, he was actually a dentist that treated Tracy, and then one day she hit him with a lawsuit. She claims that he drugged her and then assaulted her while she was having a service, but he actually came back out later and said, "What the fuck? Tracy actually drugged me and hooked up with me." Like, he was so pissed off about it all because he said Tracy had seduced him. Like, they were doing drugs together and she wanted to hook up. And then later she said, "What the fuck?" I didn't really include that whole story arc in here because I don't fucking believe Tracy Richter, but, you know, I will tell you what he said after the trial, though, because you know that guy was happy to see her go to jail. He literally said this: "This is excellent. Like I said, it's too bad they don't have a death sentence down there." This guy was jumping for joy because that lawsuit was still pending. And then lastly, Dustin's mother, Mona, she was very happy to finally see the case get justice. Like I told you guys, it took 10 years. Mona's ex-husband passed away. Tracy was up there on TV, doing press interviews, everything. After the trial, Mona said, "We thank everyone for seeing through the lies and hearing the truth. It's what we were all waiting for." In 2012, just a year later, Tracy Richter tried to appeal her conviction. The courts held it up. She's not going anywhere. Now, this part is interesting. In 2014, the authorities actually seized a computer and some hard drives from Tracy's mom's house, Anna Richter. The reason they did this was because after the trial in 2011, it was very strange that all of